CD 4.
The train is already waiting for us when we reach the platform. Geriel has given us each a little bag filled with jam sandwiches, fruit and bottles of water. She tried to be kind, despite us ignoring her goodwill. And I feel a little bad about that, but if it had been up to me, I wouldn't have booked such intimate accommodation. I prefer hotels, where things are a bit more impersonal. The last thing I want is someone pushing me to be friendly and communal, wanting to share everything about my day with them. Even in the hostels I've been in, I've managed to avoid this for the most part, so I really hope that our accommodation at the next stop is something more to my liking. I suppose this is what happens when you tag yourself onto someone else's trip. It's the first time I've done something like this, usually preferring to choose my own accommodation, although I have to admit that Sam chose well, and I had no problem staying with him. He has money, though, and he's not afraid to spend it. Which I suppose is why people generally flock to him. Yes, he is good-looking and charming and generous and funny, sexy and current and the perfect person to be around, but he's also a little stupid and quite vain, and he was an idiot to let me go. "Come on, let's get on." Carrie hoists her backpack on and starts walking along the platform, glancing at her tickets and the stickers on the doors, looking for the right carriage. I stub out my half-smoked cigarette and follow behind her. A female guard is gesturing, and Carrie stops to talk to her. Eventually, I catch up. "We're in first class," Carrie says. "Whoop!" I frown. "Weren't we in that before, from Beijing?" "Yes, but we didn't really make the most of it. It was only one night. I spent most of that in the standard class buffet car while you slept through it all. We're on here 3 nights now. We can live it up." She throws her bag onto the train and clambers up the steep metal steps after it, then turns to me. Although I am actually pretty wrecked after that mad festival. Could probably do with laying off the drink for a while. Maybe I'll make this a detox trip. I'm sure they'll have loads of herbal teas. My laugh comes out as a snort. "We're travelling to Russia. You really want to spend your time drinking chamomile and peppermint? Do you realise that Russians drink alcohol literally all the time? All of them." "Aye, you're right. Not the best time for a detox, right enough." She laughs and picks up her bag. I grip onto the handrails and pull myself up the steep steps, my bag still on my shoulders. I debated the safety of this, seeing the size of the gap between the train and the platform and considering my still fragile state. But thankfully, I make it onto the train unscathed and without losing anything into the abyss. I poke my head around the open doors of each cabin that I pass until I find her 3 down. Good. Not too far from the toilets, but far enough that we'll avoid the constant annoyance of the sliding doors. She's sitting on one of the beds, her rucksack already open, contents spilled across the covers. "What are you looking for?" I throw my rucksack onto the other bed and sit down opposite. The cabin is pretty much the same as the last one. I'm assuming it's the same class of train. The colours and the fittings all look familiar. "Speaker," she says. "Haven't had a chance to use it yet. I had it in my bag when we went to the Nomad camp, but there was no point, seeing as my phone battery died after the first night." She's not looking at me when she speaks, and yet I know she's lying. A memory swims into my vision, Carrie tapping furiously on her phone. Me trying to grab it off her, her laughing, dancing, pulling me close to her. Carrie plugs her phone into the charger under the small table that separates our beds and then plugs the speaker into her phone. She jabs at it for a moment longer and then the music starts playing. I recognize it from the first 3 bars. It's Move Any Mountain by The Shaman. She climbs up onto her bed and starts doing some rave moves that I haven't seen anyone do since the 90s. "Oh, I miss this music," she says, still moving her arms in jagged little movements. "Remember when all the clubs played this stuff? Those were the best times. All the club music is shite now, and all the clubbers are rubber-lipped posers, not proper ravers, not like us." She jumps down, then picks up the phone and switches the music off. She's breathing heavily, her face shining from her exertions. She sits down hard on the bed and looks away. "Maybe not that song though, eh? I'll find us another classic instead." She glances up at me, and I know she remembers what happened at the festival. I'm about to say something when the engines start up and the doors are slammed. A whistle blows and there's a lurch. Then we're off. I lean over and place a hand on her bare knee, and she lets me just for a moment before shrugging me off and standing up, turning away so I can't see her face. "Carrie, we're not talking about this right now. I'm getting a pack of cards out and I'm heading down to the first-class lounge car, see what's what. It's a shame that Steve and Marion aren't on this train. They'll be in Moscow now. Be good to catch up when we get there." I didn't really speak to them. "No, I know, but we'll contact them when we get to Moscow. Arrange a night out. They'll have a head start so they can tell us the best places to go. I think they were doing a river cruise, but then they were coming back. We looked at the dates. They'll be there when we arrive. I made a mad plan just in case we don't manage to email or whatever. Outside Lenin's tomb in Red Square, Tuesday at midday." She pulls more things out of her bag, tossing them on the bed. "I can't find those damned cards." She picks up the bag of sandwiches and water from Geriel and dumps it on the table. "We should have brought some supplies, proper supplies. Vodka, crisps." I stand up, and I watch as she freezes, sensing me behind her. She doesn't turn around. I take a step closer, lay a hand on her arm. Then I turn her around to face me and put both of my arms around her, resting my head on her shoulder. She stiffens. Then her shoulders drop and she puts her arms around me, and I take the opportunity to pull her closer. "About what happened," she starts, but I shh her and keep her in my arms. She's warm, her body toned yet soft. I long to be close to her again. I didn't expect any of this, but it doesn't mean I don't want it. "Just relax, Carrie," I say. "We don't need to talk about it now, but when we do, well, just know that whatever you want is fine with me. If you want to forget it..." She cuts me off. Her voice is a whisper. "I can't forget it. I want to. It's not something that I've done. Not something I ever thought I wanted to do." "Me, neither," I say, into her neck. She flinches and I blow gently on her ear, then give her a series of tiny, soft butterfly kisses. "You don't need to worry about it, Carrie. You don't need to make it anything more than it is." She unlocks her arms and pulls back. We're exactly the same height, I realise now, and she stares right into my eyes. "And what is it?" she says. She sounds scared, vulnerable. And for the first time in my life, I want to protect someone. I want to protect her. Maybe I've been wrong all these years about what's right for me. I keep looking for men to look after me, but all they do is use me. Maybe I'm supposed to be the protector. Maybe it's not a man I should be looking for. But I can't push too far right now. I don't think she's ready. I lift my hand and move a lock of her hair away from her face, pushing it behind her ear. She has small, dainty ears, pierced 3 times on each side and decorated with different coloured gemstones. Everything about her is beautiful and exotic. I want to lick her, taste her sweet, salty skin. I want to drink her up just like that cocktail I craved on the night we met. Let's go down to the lounge, I say. I think we could both use a drink. 2. lauralee@gmail.com. From carrie82@hotmail.com. Subject: choo-choo. Hiya. Bloody hell, Mongolia was mental. I had a load of emails in draft, but I deleted them off my phone. Total rambling shite. Count yourself lucky there was no Wi-Fi or phone reception, or you'd have been sending out a UN rescue mission to find me. Is Mongolia in the UN? You might still get some of them. They might be floating around in the cloud or something. Anywho, I'm feeling okay now-ish. But it was touch and go for a while. I'm trying to be positive, but I keep having these little flashes of stuff that I'm not sure I actually want to remember. I'm in the first class lounge writing this on the laptop. It's nice to just sit here and chill out, actually. I wanted to play cards, but I can't find the bloody things, and Violet's planning to read up on Moscow because apparently I know all about the place where we're stopping off next, so she's not going to bother researching that. I thought we were on the herbal tea, but V's at the bar, and I don't think it's tea that the sour-faced cow behind the bar is making. We're on our way to Irkutsk, which is in Siberia. Isn't that funny? Places like Outer Mongolia and Siberia always seemed totally made up and a bit legendary and not the kind of places that anyone could ever actually go to. And here I am. Shit. Sorry, that was a bit insensitive. You should be here. I do wish you were here. I miss your face and your dull chat. How's your leg? Are you out of the stookie yet? What news? See, kiss kiss. P.S. Link to YouTube, The Shaman, Move Any Mountain, https://www.youtube.com/watch?V=SPJNZXTZ6QG. 2. Carrie82@hotmail.com. From lauralee@gmail.com. Subject: choo-choo. Fuck's sake, I was starting to get worried, you daft cow. That video is brilliant. Was that actually you at the Mad Festival? Did you meet an actual shaman? Or lots of men? What are they like? Did you get your fortune read or something? Is that what they do? I am getting the plaster off next week, and then some bandage and sexy boot combo, which will at least be lighter to drag around and give my skinny, wasted leg a chance to grow some muscle again. You know, I keep thinking about that night, and I still can't really work out how I felt. I know I was wearing those stupid heels, but you were there, and I remember holding onto your arm. Oh, I wish I could remember. I might hobble back round to the steps and see if there are any loose scobbles. Maybe I can sue the council. Oh, don't know if you know, but I think Greg is seeing someone. L. Kiss kiss. Chapter 18. We'll have 2 brandy Alexanders, I say to the stern-faced woman behind the bar. I'm expecting a further look of disgust as she chooses not to understand me or know what I'm asking for, but instead she takes 2 martini glasses from under the counter, picks up a cocktail shaker and starts to add the ingredients. Ooh, Carrie says. Fancy. I thought we were off the drink for 5 minutes. She laughs and nudges my arm. Then she heads over to an unoccupied table and slides into the window seat. I watch her while the woman prepares our drinks. She didn't find the playing cards, but she's brought her laptop and the guidebook and some paper and pens instead, and she's got some idea for a game. I'd rather just stare out of the window when I'm not staring at her. We can chat. She can tell me more about everything, and I can tell her more about Sam, although maybe that's not the best idea. She thinks I'm forgetting him, getting over him. I suppose I am, but it still hurts. A quick look on Sam's Facebook while Carrie is busy setting up the game, and it's much of the same. For the first time, I feel a little detached as I scroll through the photographs. He's still checking into every place he goes, still hanging out with the beautiful people, still partying like he's a student on a gap year. Surely he'll tire of it all soon. Think about heading back home? I'm planning to keep looking at his posts for the foreseeable. If things don't work out with Carrie, I do think I'll be looking to track him down again. What annoys me is the rejection, I suppose. It's supposed to be me who does the walking away. Enjoy. The woman behind the bar plonks the glasses in front of me unceremoniously. I give her a smile, but she doesn't return it. I can't work out if she is genuinely pissed off or if this is just the way she looks, but so far most of the female staff I've seen on the train have had similar expressions of woe. I expect she goes into the kitchen when we're not there and laughs at us, the travellers, thinking we know what's what in the world because we've taken a few trips. She's right to be cynical. Most travellers I've met have been vacuous or self-important, arrogant, rich kids. That's why I liked Sam. Loved him, I mean, because he was different. He had a good job, he had ambition. All he wanted was an extended holiday. But look at him now. He's not who I thought he was. Carrie is different, too. Another one with drive. She saved that money for this trip, and she's making the most of it. Sam, Carrie, these are my kind of people. I've made a few mistakes along the way with some of the other friends I've made, but I don't want to dwell on that now, not when things are heading in the right direction. Carrie grins at me as I place the drinks on the table. Beige, creamy liquid in proper martini glasses with a little chocolate straw placed on the top. I hadn't expected the woman at the bar to make such an effort, but as I'm finding out, things often surprise you when you least expect it. Like Carrie at the festival, like that kiss, and her grabbing my hands and placing them on her naked body. I grin back as I take a seat opposite her, and I think my eyes must flick down towards her chest. Unintentional, but the image is there in my mind. A shadow passes across her face, and I look away, out of the window, and wait. After a moment of silence, she says, "It's so weird being here." I turn back to face her, watch as she takes a sip of her drink. "What, On this train? In this country? I pause, take a sip of my own drink. It's creamy, but there's a hard bite of alcohol in there. Being here with me? She picks up the chocolate straw and starts nibbling on it. All of the above. I take another sip of my drink. Memories of the night of the festival have been coming back to me all day, jabbing at me like random tiny pinpricks. 1 minute I want to blurt something out, and the next I want to keep it locked away inside my head. From Carrie's up and down mood, I sense she is getting the same reminders. You know, you said something the other night about Sam. It's as if she's read my mind. I don't really want to talk about him, actually. I drain my drink. The problem with these types of glasses is that they hardly hold any liquid. I turn around towards the bar and catch the woman's eye. Can we have 2 more, please? Are you sure that's a good idea? Carrie is ripping corners off a piece of paper, dropping small, rough confetti onto the table. If she had a bottle of beer, the label would be in shreds by now. Of course it is. We're in first class, aren't we? Let's enjoy it. The barwoman brings us another 2 drinks and plonks them hard on the table with another emotionless enjoy, then leaves us to it. Carrie picks up the chocolate straw and holds it like a cigarette, sucking the end. She turns to face me, looks me straight in the eye, and I can't look away. We should talk about the festival, she says. What happened? Which bit? Which bit do you remember? She slides more of the straw into her mouth, bites it in half with a snap, then nibbles at the remaining piece, small, tiny bites, like a little animal. Her eyes flash a warning at me, and I wonder if she wants me to tell the truth or lie. I remember some of it, I say. This is the truth, at least. I remember running out of the shaman's tent. I remember colours flashing everywhere, my head spinning. I fell onto the floor and someone picked me up. That was Rory. No, she shakes her head. We didn't see Rory or Martin after the reading. They said so in the van. They'd been looking for us. I take another drink, trying to buy time. I thought I remembered, but now I'm not so sure. I was scared, Violet. I don't know what of. But I remember the feeling, the panic, my heart racing. She puts a hand to her chest. I can feel it now. Something happened in the reading, didn't it? He said something bad was going to happen. A small burst of laughter comes out of me, but it's forced. I am trying to quell my own panic. The memory has come back now, not a pinprick anymore, more like a long, thin blade right to my heart. Carrie is shaking now. She is looking at me in sheer horror. He said you had a bad soul, V. We laughed, but then his face changed and it wasn't funny anymore. He said something was wrong with you. He said... I lean over and lay a hand on top of hers. Her skin is hot and clammy. Her hand is shaking, and I press down on it to make it stop. It's all a load of rubbish. A bloody witch doctor, that's all. I bet they do it to all the tourists after plying them with their weird herbal highs. She picks up her drink with her free hand, and drains it. "You're probably right," she says. "I'm just mixing things up in my head." She bites her lip and looks away. Chapter 19. We've had too many drinks. There is a small part of me that is trying hard to keep control of the situation, but a larger part wants to give in to it just to see what's going to happen next. Carrie is free and fun when she's drinking. When she's hungover or coming down, she's moody and paranoid. More than that, she's too inquisitive. And I'm scared that sooner or later she's going to get to the truth about me. I'm not ready for that. I managed to keep it together enough to get us back to the cabin. The first-class carriage had started to fill up, a bunch of older people on a tour, just like on the China to Mongolia train. But this time, Carrie hadn't been so ready to talk to them. She'd been probing me for information about the festival, 1 minute saying she was scared, the next laughing it off. Plus, endless questions about Sam. I had to shut her up, and the alcohol wasn't hitting her fast enough, so I slipped something into her drink when she went to the toilet, just a tiny bit. Just enough to loosen her up and stop her asking so many questions. She started to slur after that, and I realised I needed to get her out of there. We've got 3 more days on this train. We can't piss off the staff, and we don't want the other passengers getting annoyed with us. Annoyed people tend to be nosy people, and I don't want any of them sticking their beaks into our business. This is my and Carrie's trip. I need to keep it going, keep it fun, or else she'll tell me she's heading off on her own, and to be honest, I'm not sure I can take another rejection so soon after Sam. I checked his Facebook again when Carrie was in the toilet. I couldn't help myself. He looks happy, as always, and I feel small, angry feet stamping across my heart. Carrie pulls away from me and slumps onto her bunk. She's in a worse state than I realised. I definitely didn't plan this. She curls herself onto the bed, pulling her knees up to her chest, trying to make herself safe in the fetal position. Does she think I would hurt her? I pull a small bottle of water out from under the table by the window and lay it on the bed beside her head. She's already snoring quietly, and I could kick myself at my own stupidity. I wanted to talk to her tonight about what happened between us. I know she's been trying hard to avoid it, but the chemistry is there, that fizzing, squirming feeling deep below, transferring itself from me to her and back again like the fluttering of a butterfly's wings. I close the door and lock it, and I slowly undress, never taking my eyes off her as I peel off my clothes and let them fall to the floor. Then I start on hers, even more slowly, even more carefully. She barely stirs. She's completely out for the count. This wasn't what I had in mind at all, but I take a moment to stroke the soft skin of her naked back, down to the curve just above her perfect, pert buttocks. A sprinkling of goose pimples flit over her skin, and I know that she can feel my touch. She can sense me. She knows that I'm here, watching her, longing for her. I stay like that for a long time. and then climb into my own bunk and pull the cool sheet up over my chest. My breathing has quickened, and the butterflies are beating faster, faster, further and further down my body. I slide a hand under the sheet. Carrie lets out a small moan, and I close my eyes, aching now, desperate for release. When is she going to realise that I love her? To lauralee@gmail.com. Draft. From Carrie82@hotmail.com. Subject: choo-choo. Oh, laws, you know we were both pissed that night. All I remember is 1 minute you were holding on to me, talking shite, and we crossed the cobbles in Coburn Street, and the next thing you'd taken a header down the steps of Flesh Market Close. If you weren't so drunk, I think you might have smashed your head open, but you were like rubber. You just flipped and bounced. It all happened so fast. I puked with the shock before I could even come and help you up. And you were greeting and shouting, and I couldn't get you up, but then they heard all the commotion down at the halfway house, and a couple of old boys came up to help. They were as pissed as us, but clearly more used to it, thank fuck. Just one of those mental drunken accidents, though. No point keeping going over it. Anyway, listen. I woke up naked in my bunk this morning. As if I would sleep naked on my own. You know what I'm like. Violet was asleep in the other bunk, facing away from me, but I don't know. I had this feeling, like I could sense that just a moment before I moved, she'd been watching me. I was all bare under the covers. Mortified. I've decided not to mention it, TBH. I think she might have a bit of a crush on me, but she's too intense. I think she thinks we had a moment at the Nomadic Festival, but I was so off my tits I can't remember a thing. Love you, doll. Can't wait to see you. See. Kiss. P.S. Good for Greg. I told you, I don't want to talk about him. And I don't even care. I would even care if it was you he was seeing. You'd be welcome to him. I was pissed off for a while, but I'm over it. Totally. Okay? Chapter 20. When I wake up, Carrie is gone. Her bed unmade, rumpled clothes tossed in the corner next to her rucksack, which is spilling its contents over the bunk, as if she has dressed and left in a hurry. I'd spent most of the night lying here watching her. She was a restless sleeper, maybe more so because of the train than the alcohol, and part of me was watching to make sure she didn't throw up and choke to death in her sleep. But mostly, I was watching her because I like watching her. I know I've become a bit obsessed, and I think I should pull back a bit, but she seemed to be enjoying our friendship and getting closer. Maybe I've misinterpreted her, but I don't think so. I'm usually good at knowing if someone likes me or not. I know that Michael did, and Sam, until things went wrong. But when relationships are so intense, things do go wrong. I realise that. I just don't want to blow it with Carrie. I decide to leave her to it for a bit wherever she might be. I sit up in the bunk and pick up my phone from where it's been charging on the small table beside me. I open Facebook and have a scroll through my feed, but there's nothing much of interest on there. I don't have enough friends for it to be particularly interesting, preferring instead to look at individual profiles, especially those who have everything set to public, which is a surprising number of people. despite all the warnings about online safety. Sometimes I send random friend requests if I find someone intriguing, but I usually delete them before they get accepted or ignored. I'd prefer not to be rejected, but also I prefer not to have them question why I am sending the request. I have had that a few times. I've learned my lesson. I check a couple of my usual profiles, but nothing much is happening. It may be because of the time zone differences. I'm missing out on the new stuff. I consider ignoring him, but I know I can't stop myself looking at Sam's profile for updates. He's at a street market. Him and two of those German lads, gurning, grimacing faces holding insects up to their mouths. I click on a video clip and watch one of the Germans eating a live cockroach. His face joyous at first and then a look of sheer horror before he turns away from the camera and vomits while the others laugh. I don't think it's funny. I stab a finger on the app, shutting it down. I should delete Facebook on my phone. It really doesn't make me feel good. I get dressed in a pair of leggings and a long t-shirt, tie my hair back with a band, and then I set about tidying Carrie's stuff. I sort and fold the clothes that have spilled out of her bag, and when I see anything that takes my fancy, I hold it against myself and check my reflection in the window. It's not the best, with the train moving quite fast and the background colours changing so quickly, but it's enough. I open each of the side pockets of her rucksack and have a quick rummage inside, but there's nothing too exciting. I was hoping for maybe a notebook or a diary, but she seems to store all of her information on her laptop, and she always has that with her. I might ask to borrow it later, tell her I'd like to write some proper emails. She'd hardly believe that I literally have no one to send any emails to. Eventually, I get bored being on my own, and it's clear that Carrie is not coming back. So I push her rucksack over to the far side of her bed, the neatly stacked clothes lined up beside it. It doesn't look like I've been snooping, and she can hardly complain about my folding her clothes. I open her toiletries bag and take out her deodorant, a roll-on, and use it to freshen up under my arms. Then I take a squirt of her toothpaste and rub it over my teeth. It'll do, for now. I hear her voice before I even get to the dining car, laughing loudly, regaling with an anecdote. Just like in UB, in the Irish bar, playing to the crowd. I paste a smile onto my face and walk into the carriage. "There you are," I say, forcing a jolly, carefree tone into my voice, one that I definitely don't feel. "Thought you jumped off," I laugh. She swivels round in her seat, and I see the laptop in front of her closed, a glass of clear liquid beside her. Is she drinking again? Stupidly, I'd thought we could spend some time together today, catching up, but I see that she's already making her own entertainment. A young couple are sitting opposite her, and they smile when they see me. "Vee, come and meet Jared and Leah. They've been travelling for 6 months, can you believe it?" Jared and Leah look like the type of know-it-all travellers that I've spent my entire trip avoiding. And I've been travelling a lot longer than 6 months. "Oh, hey," says Jared. He holds up his fingers in a peace sign, and I want to punch him in the face. "Carrie says you're from Nottingham," Leah chimes in. "Guess what? We're from Nottingham too. What school did you go to?" She peers up at me through her too long fringe. It makes her look like Dougal from the Magic Roundabout. I want to grab it and yank it off. "Oh, I didn't go to school there," I say. "Besides, I'm a few years older than you two, I think." "No way!" Jared says. "You look like our age, if that. I guess we're a bit weather-beaten though, right? You know, when we were in Bali, What's everyone drinking? Shall I get us another?" I walk across to the bar, trying hard not to look at Jared or Leah so that I don't feel the urge to grab both of their stupid heads and smash them together until they break. "I'll just nip to the toilet first," I say, and I keep walking past the bar and the grumpy barmaid and through the next set of connecting doors where I slide the window down and stick my face out into the fresh air. I close my eyes and try to slow my breathing, feeling my heart rate gradually return to normal. I haven't felt this level of rage for a while, and I need to be careful. A moving train, several hours from its next stop. It's not the place for me to lose my shit. If Carrie wants to spend the day hanging with those two losers, then I'll just have to let her. I decide to steer clear by walking the length of the train, seeing if there's anything more interesting to do. But after a couple of carriages of being buffeted back and forth, I lose patience and head back. When I get back to the table, there's a bottle of vodka sitting on it, 4 glasses, 3 of them half filled. There's a plate piled high with cream cheese blinis, and I feel a roll of hunger in my stomach. Fuck it. "Oh, you're back," Carrie says, winking across at the couple. "We wondered if you'd got to the end of the train and fallen off." They all laugh, clearly pleased with themselves for twisting my own attempt at humour back at me. "Pour us some, then," I say, sliding into the seat next to Carrie, nudging her until she moves up closer to the window. I grab 2 blinis and sandwich them together and shove them into my mouth. God, I am starving. When did we last eat? "Eating's cheating," Leah says in her distinctly non-Nottingham accent. I think these two went to private school, and that's what they were trying to catch me out on. Idiots. I went to private school too. One of the most exclusive in the country. Thinking about it now, I have no idea why I lied to Carrie about Nottingham, of all places. I'm not even sure I've been there. I pour a large measure of vodka into my glass and raise it briefly before knocking it back and refilling it. Damn right, it's cheating. Let's get on with this, eh? Carrie turns to me amused. Get on with what exactly? We're going to play a game, aren't we? Oh, yes, Leah says, clapping her hands. Let's play Would You Rather. I slam my glass down on the table and Jared flinches. Boring! Carrie downs her drink, then refills mine and hers. I think never have I ever is more what you're after, V, yeah? I turn to her and smile. Yeah. Then we both turn to Jared and Leah, and I feel that frisson of connection with Carrie again. And it tingles right down to the pit of my stomach. I'll start, Carrie says, grinning. Never have I ever stolen something valuable. Jared and Leah give each other a look, and then Leah gives Jared a small shrug, and they both take a drink. Ooh, Carrie says. Go on then, spell. Well, Jared says, I'm not sure if it was truly valuable or not, but when we went to Easter Island, we both picked up some pieces of crumbled rock from the base of one of the statues. He goes bright red, and I realise that he truly believes he has done something awful. I want to wind him up, but Leah is shifting uncomfortably and I decide to leave it. Naughty, Carrie says. I hope you're not cursed. She laughs before turning to me. Got to say, V, I am not at all shocked at you not drinking. Proper goody two-shoes, aren't you? She winks, and I give her a half smirk. We both know that's not true. Me next, Jared says. I've got an excellent one. I bet it isn't. Never have I ever had sex with more than one person at the same time. He grins, ridiculously pleased with himself, but his face falls as neither me nor Carrie lifts a glass. But Leah does, and goes even redder than he did before. Leah, I say, cocking my head to the side in faux wonderment. Aren't you a dark horse? Jared is staring at Leah with a strange mixture of lust and revulsion. Lily? He says. She shakes her head, then barks out a laugh that is obviously fake. Just kidding. I'll take another drink to make up for it. Carrie side-eyes me, and I smirk again. That pair are going to have some interesting discussions back in their cabin tonight. Right, I'll go. Never have I ever bullied someone at school. Jared and Leah both let out sighs of relief. Of course they haven't. I turn to Carrie. Bugger! I'm going to have to drink and then pick another question now, aren't I? She slowly shakes her head, then takes a sip. It was a long time ago. I'm not proud of it. We all did it. She takes another sip. Apparently, he's not a very nice person now, but that doesn't mean it was okay. The table falls silent. Even the barmaid, who has been chattering quietly to a man perched on a bar stool, stops talking and glances over. I don't think she has heard us, but she has sensed the atmosphere. There's nothing but the sound of the train hurtling along the tracks. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Leah lets out a nervous giggle. Come on! We all did stupid things when we were kids, right? I know I did. I don't believe her, but I appreciate her attempt to lighten the mood. Let's all drink, Jared chimes in, because we were all little buggers once upon a time. I lean in closer to Carrie, lay a hand on her knee and give it a little squeeze. She jumps, knocking her knee against the table, and all the glasses jilt and roll, and we all grab them, and the tension is gone. Fuck's sake, she mutters. She holds up her glass. Cheers, down the hatch. We all drain our drinks, and Jared refills them, and we carry on, playing more fun questions for a while. Never have I ever pissed behind a bin, told someone a lie about their new haircut, borrowed someone something and lost it, given someone a fake phone number, cheated in an exam. The day fades to dusk, and we're on the second bottle when the questions take a darker turn once more. My turn, Leah slurs. Never have I ever had sex with someone of the same gender. Carrie snorts. Hang on, that means your threesome was with two blokes? Did they get it on with each other, or did they both just do you? Leah shakes her head and laughs. I told you that was just a joke. Yeah, right, I mutter. I turn to Carrie. I'm not really sure if I should be drinking right now or not. I'll need to follow your lead. Wait, what? You two? Jared perks up at my hinted confession, even though I haven't drunk anything yet. Why do men do this? What happened between Carrie and me was for us, not for someone else's entertainment. Leah looks pale, and I suspect there is a lot she's done that Jared knows nothing about. How long have you two been together? I ask, taking a sip of my drink and trying to make it vague as to whether I am still playing the game or not. Since we were 16, Jared says, his voice a mixture of smugness and pride. We went to different unis, but we met up every couple of weeks, and we were both totally faithful, weren't we, babe? He turns to Leah, who shrugs. Her eyes are glazed, and she is swaying slightly in her seat, despite the train being relatively smooth at this point. Course, she says. She won't meet his eye, and I can see that he is hurt, but he's also too scared to probe further. This is not something he's going to benefit from digging into. I'm bored with this game, Carrie says, pouring more vodka into her glass. She fills it to the brim and a bit slops over the side. Oops, she turns to me. Let's talk about our exes. Tell them about Sam. I shake my head. I don't want to talk about Sam. Carrie laughs. Oh, you never do, V. In fact, despite the fact that you claim to be checking his Facebook 50 times a day, I'm not entirely sure that he exists. A rush of anger heats my cheeks. Why would I make it up? Whatever, Carrie says. Leah and Jared are ignoring her. They're leaning in close, Jared whispering something to Leah that we can't hear, and she is looking increasingly uncomfortable. Serves them right for trying to play drinking games with the big boys. I'm intrigued about why Leah has chosen to start confessing her sins right now, though. Perhaps their perfect relationship isn't quite so perfect after all. Can I get out, please, Violet? I'm going for a walk. I slide out of the booth seat, and Carrie comes out after me. Where are you going? I say as she wobbles down the aisle. Should I wait here for you? Do what you want, she calls back. We're crossing the border soon, aren't we? Don't we need to be in our rooms for the customs inspection? She ignores me and disappears out through the sliding doors. When I turn back to the table, Jared and Leah are gone. The door on the far side of the bar slides shut, and I'm alone. Again. Irkutsk. Chapter 21. As we pull into Irkutsk, I notice that the view around the station is mainly comprised of miserable concrete buildings and a car park full of men waiting expectantly for our arrival, just like in UB. There is a barely perceptible hum in the air, a feeling that this place is infinitely more threatening than Mongolia. Most of the Russian men are younger, and somehow that makes them more dangerous to us. All of them are either smoking or chewing on matchsticks, staring us up and down. I stare back at them and try to decide which of them looks the least likely to rape and kill us. One of them catches my eye and comes ambling over towards us. He is wearing a shiny pair of tracksuit bottoms and a grey t-shirt, the sleeves rolled to display his sculpted biceps. He spits a chewed matchstick onto the floor and leans forwards, ready to pick up our bags. You have hotel? I know good hotel, he says, grinning. Or maybe tour? You want to go to lake? Tell me what you want and I can do it. He pauses, sensing our reluctance. Carrie hasn't spoken to me since we woke this morning, and after last night's carry-on, I have no idea what she is thinking. We need to go to the Rachmaninoff Hotel, she says, offering him a piece of paper. Okay, good, the man says, lifting both of our bags as if they are full of feathers. They are both at least 20 kilograms each, despite my backpack being half the size of Carrie's proper backpacker's rucksack. I am Ivan, he says. I am at your service, and I am not so terrible. He does a little bow, and I burst out laughing. Eventually, Carrie laughs too, and she leans over and squeezes my arm as we climb into the back of the car, which I'm glad to see is a Lada. It's good to find out that they do actually drive their own brand of cars, despite them having a slightly dubious reputation back home. Which I'm glad to see is a Lada. He starts the engine, then leans over and rummages in the glove box. Then he turns round to us and offers a business card between two fingers.
In case you need my services again.
I take it without really thinking, and he winks at me. Carrie looks out of her window. We're clipping our seatbelts in as he releases the handbrake and shrieks across the car park, causing us both to flop forwards and back. Oi! Carrie starts, but he just turns on the radio and drowns us out with loud, heavy techno. I look across at Carrie, but she has her eyes shut tight. As we leave the area around the station and enter the main body of the city, I stare out of the windows at the dirty, grey, communist-era architecture mixed with the over-the-top fancy structures that are peppered throughout. We pass through street upon street of blocky high-rises, and we pause at traffic lights at an impressive gold-painted church with a huge statue of Lenin outside. I'd only planned to look up Moscow in the guidebook, but after Carrie did her disappearing act last night, I had little else to do, so now I know that there is little for us to do here. We should have stopped at Ulan-Ude and gone to Lake Baikal. From what Rory and Martin had told us, there were many things we could have done there. But on the other hand, it's probably just as well we didn't go anywhere near water. Besides, Carrie planned to come to the city instead, wanted to see the wooden houses and learn more about the Decemberists, but with us barely speaking, I'm not sure what we're actually going to do for the next couple of days. I just hope the hotel is nice, and that the food here is better than in Mongolia, which really shouldn't be much of a stretch. The car slows, and Ivan points out of his window.
This hotel, he says. Hotel Irkut. Very nice hotel.
Carrie sits up straight. No, we're going to the Rachmaninoff. I showed you. She leans forwards and tries to pick up the piece of paper that the driver has tossed onto the passenger seat.
No problem, he says. I cancel this one for you. I take you to best hotel in Irkutsk. Best food, caviar. Anything you like, ladies.
He stops the car and gestures again at the hotel to his left. A man in a dark suit is standing outside and he starts to walk towards us. No, Carrie says more forcefully now. Take us to the Rachmaninoff Hotel. The suited man approaches the car, and Ivan winds down the window and starts talking to him in rapid-fire Russian. Carrie leans over to me and whispers, I've read about this. It's a scam. They have an arrangement with this place, and they'll take our money, but then the other place will get all shitty, and they'll try to throw us out and make us pay for both. Fuck. Exactly. I'm not falling for it. The suited man steps away from the car, and Ivan closes the window. Carrie leans over the seat. Take us to the Rachmaninoff Hotel. Now. Her voice is hard, full of venom. I am terrified, but I stay flat back against the seat and try not to give any indication of how scared I am. Once again, I am impressed with how she handles things. I thought I knew what I was doing before I met her, and yet she continues to surprise me. Ivan sits still for a moment. The suited man shakes his head just a fraction, but enough to indicate that we're possibly going to get our way. No, Carrie says again. Ivan blows out a stream of what I assume are Russian expletives. Then he jams the key into the ignition and throws the car into reverse. He hangs back over the seat, causing Carrie to bounce back towards me, and then he reverses down the middle of the road at full speed. My heart is hammering now, and I'm far too scared to turn around, convinced that at any moment we are going to crash full on into a car coming the other way, the correct way, down the street. Carrie is holding onto the handle above the door with one hand, and she grabs mine with her other, and we both squeeze tight, bracing for impact. But just as I think we're going to crash and die, The car slows and swerves, and then he's driving the correct way again, down another street, still far too fast. Then he slams on the brakes and points out of his window again.
Rachmaninoff Hotel, he says. Shithole.
I glance out at the dull grey block with a faded red canopy over the door. There's a dingy-looking alleyway running along the side, and I dread to think what might be down there. There's no doorman at this place. We might have made a mistake after all.
Are you sure this is the Rachmaninoff Hotel?
Carrie says, grabbing the piece of paper. I lean over to read it, and it does indeed have the correct name on it, but I've done this before, in much nicer cities than this. Sometimes there are hotels with the same name. Sometimes one is much nicer than the other. Naming it after a famous composer doesn't mean it has to be nice, obviously.
I try to tell you, he says. I'm not rip you off.
Carrie sighs. Okay, she says. Maybe you were right, but I've booked this place and I know the price and they're expecting us, so... She glances over at me, giving me an uncertain smile. Are you okay here, V? Should we go back? I take another look at the miserable place that we've apparently decided to spend our time in, and then I make a stupid, ridiculous mistake. I reckon we should go with this one, Carrie. You chose it. I bet it's lovely inside. That other place was probably all front. Ivan catches my eye in the rearview mirror and shakes his head sadly. He mutters something in Russian and then opens the car door and climbs out. He disappears around the back and lifts our rucksacks out of the boot, then walks silently over to the hotel and up the 3 steps to the front door. I hope we're not being mental, Carrie says. How bad can it be? It's all just part of our adventure.
You're right, she says.
Also, I'm sorry, V. I was a total dick on the train. Can we just forget it? I'm about to tell her that I'd already forgiven her when Ivan appears back down the steps.
1,000 rubles,
he says. Carrie hands over the note she has taken from her purse, folded up in her hand, ready, knowing how much it should be, yet again not letting us be ripped off. The hotel will be fine. The main thing is, we're together. Chapter 22. The reception is small and cramped, with a chest-height dark wooden desk on one side and a tired-looking red velvet sofa on the other. The floors are polished marble, and a quick glance around suggests that the place is clean, if not luxurious. I squeeze Carrie's hand, and she gives me a small smile. We're here. We're still together. But we do have lots to talk about. I'll let us get settled before broaching it, though.
Room 17 on 4th floor. Lift is at end of corridor. Restaurant is at end of corridor also. No food now. Breakfast 8 until 10. Dinner 5 until 9. No lunch.
The bored-looking receptionist rattles off the bare minimum of information needed without even the hint of a smile. She hasn't asked for any money yet, so maybe Carrie has prepaid, but I don't bother to ask her. The lift is tiny and instantly claustrophobic without even a mirror to make it look bigger. We squeeze in with our bags, and I try not to breathe in Carrie's direction, as I'm sure my breath is stale from the journey, despite brushing my teeth every day. Now that we are in here, the smell of us both is overpowering. The taxi had its own sweaty aroma, and it was hard to know if it was us or Ivan who smelled the worst. Now I'm starting to think it was us. But we have been on a train for nearly 4 days, and no amount of cat washes can deal with that kind of sweat. There was a lot of drinking. A lot of other stuff, too. I get a thrill, as well as huge waves of embarrassment when I think about it. After what seems like an age, we arrive on the 4th floor and almost tumble out into the corridor to escape the confines of the lift. "Jesus Christ," Carrie mutters, heaving her bag onto her shoulder. "We fucking stink, V." I burst out laughing, glad that the tension has snapped at last. Although she'd held my hand in the taxi and apologised outside, there was still something unspoken between us, and there still is. But at least we're laughing again. I have a flashback to Carrie last night. Her sharp vodka breath in my face.
"You need to fuck off, Violet. You're a leech. A parasite fucking worming your way into my life, into my pants."
She'd actually grimaced when she said that.
"I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I fancied experimenting, but why the hell I chose you, I do not know."
Then she'd disappeared from the cabin, and I hadn't seen her until she'd come back this morning, half an hour before we were due to arrive, smelling of sex. She'd tossed things into her backpack in silence, and I'd gone through so many options in my head of what I could say to her, wound myself up so much that I couldn't say a word. Today she is subdued, and judging by the tremor in her hands, which she's trying to hide, I think she's coming down from something more than just the vodka. I find my voice as she's turning the key in the door, a huge brass thing on a red leather fob. "Where did you go last night, Carrie? I missed you."
End of CD 4. CD 5.
She sighs hard, and the door swings open, as if she has blown it in. "Not now, V. I need a long soak in the bath. I need to sleep in a proper bed. I need some food. Jeez, when did we last have some food? Ooh, we had those cheese blinis." It's her turn to laugh now. "I think that was around 24 hours ago." She tosses her bag into the corner of the room. Please, can there be a bath?" "What time is it? Do you think Cruella de Vil downstairs will take pity and send us some room service?" "I doubt it, but I can go and get us something as soon as the kitchen opens." "Fuck's sake, V. You don't have to keep..." She lets the sentence trail off.
"Forget it, I was being a bitch. Again."
"That would be great, obviously. I feel like I haven't slept in days." She looks at herself in the narrow mirror on the wardrobe door, turns to the side, sucking in her stomach, pushing it out, standing up straight, letting her shoulders sag. Then she turns back to the front and pulls her vest off over her head. There's a huge waft of BO with the movement, and I have to force myself not to gag. "I think I've lost weight." She sucks in her stomach again, then pushes out her breasts. "Oh, fuck." She pulls at one of the cups of her bra, peers down, then unfolds it and stares at herself in the mirror, pulling a face. "That is rank." It's a large purple bruise with teeth marks around the sides. "That fucking prick I shagged on the train has probably given me rabies." She yanks off her shorts, then disappears through to the bathroom. "A bath!" she shouts back. "Thank fuck!" She slams the door. I peel off my own dirty clothes and lie down on top of the covers of one of the single beds. The cover is shiny and floral, polyester, absolutely not safe in a fire. I listen to the sound of running water. Then I sit up, anxious. I can't relax right now. The room is decent enough, 2 beds, wardrobe, desk and chair, sliding glass doors out to a small balcony. I unlock the doors and step outside, taking in the view. Another building across the alleyway, the side of it though, just concrete, no windows. No one to see me here in my underwear. I look down and see nothing of interest. The alleyway doesn't seem to be used for much, with cracks running down it filled with proliferating weeds and random pieces of rubbish. Cans, packets, and who knows what else that people have thrown out of their windows. I close the doors and go back inside. On the desk, there's a small leather stationery holder with paper and envelopes with the name of the hotel and a logo stamped on them. Maybe this place isn't so bad. Maybe it was grand once. I pull out the deep drawer beneath the desk, and a small plink of excitement runs over my arms like goosebumps. A kettle. Lots of tea and coffee, hot chocolate. I rummage further in the basket next to the cups and saucers and find some biscuits. I never thought I'd be so excited for some home comforts, as basic as they might be. I give the kettle a little shake to make sure there is some water in it, and thankfully there is, as I don't want to disturb Carrie right now. Then I flick it on and sit down in the chair to wait for it to boil. There is a large lamp on the desk, one of those heavy-based ones with an elaborate shade. It's a bit out of place in the stark room, but I assume it harks back to a time when there might have been a few fancier things in here. Curtains, maybe, and less hazardous bedspreads. I pull the little gold chain, and the room is basked in an amber glow. Relaxing at last, I tip a hot chocolate sachet into a cup and fill it with water. Just the smell of it makes me want to cry. I can't say that my mum ever brought me hot chocolate in bed as a child. I'm pretty sure I had to make it myself, but there is something comforting about it all the same. I associate it with reading with my glowworm lamp and imagining myself in another place. I might have lived in a fancy old mansion, but it was a lonely place with just me, the neglected only child, and my parents, and I longed to go to boarding school, like Mallory Towers in the books I loved to read. I wanted to be around other girls. I wanted to be part of something. I pull the chain on the lamp again, flicking it off, then on again, off. I listen for the splashing sounds from the bathroom that tell me Carrie is still alive in there. You hear about these things, you know, when someone full of vodka and who knows what else gets into a hot bath. Because she definitely had something last night. She was wild, her eyes rolling around in her head. It was worse than the night at the shamanic festival, and that's saying something. Although I was off my head then too, so it's not the same. I hope that whatever it was she took, we can get past that now. I don't want this to turn into one of those drug-fueled trips that no one ever remembers. There is such a lot that I want to remember. I flick the lamp back on again, then I go over to my bag and take out my phone. Sam is on a beach. There's a selfie of him and one of his stupid mates drinking out of coconut shells. I enlarge the photo looking for girls and don't see any in close proximity. I click on the comments. Top night, bro.
Sundowners at the Kiki Club. Girls are hot.
There are a series of blazing sun emojis on that one. I toss my phone onto my bed and ball my hands into fists. Screw you, Sam, you predictable tosser. I'm poking around in Carrie's bag, getting ready to have a look at her laptop, when I hear the click of the bathroom door unlocking and have to quickly rethink my plans. She comes out wrapped in a towel and smelling of something sickly and floral. Not sure what the shower gel is meant to be, but I think I smell better than I did before I went in. My clothes are absolutely reeking. I'm soaking them in the bath. Want to chuck yours in? Finally, she spots what I've been doing. Oh, what are you... Thought you looked tired, I say, sliding a silky top onto one of the few hangers in the wardrobe. I was just unpacking for you. I know you packed in a bit of a hurry this morning. Her eyes flash with something that might be annoyance, but then her shoulders sag and I know I've got away with it. Thanks, Fee, I am bloody tired. I felt myself drifting off in the bath, but I didn't want to be in there all night. You must be desperate for a wash, too. Listen, thanks again for this. I think I'll just lie down for a bit while you're in there. I think I've even gone past hunger. Let's see how you feel later, I say. I hope she has a nap, then changes her mind. I want to go out tonight. Just the two of us. I feel like it hasn't been just the two of us for so long. I want to go somewhere nice, have good food, drink some wine and talk, and get it all out there in the open. I want her to put her hand on mine like she did that first night in the Irish bar in UB. I want her to kiss me like that, softly, full of promise. I want to forget about what happened at the camp. I want to forget about what happened on the train. I want us to start again. I know I pushed it too far and I'm close to blowing it, but I can't let that happen. I can't give her a reason to not want to be with me anymore. We're only just beginning. I look across at her as she lies on the bed, towel still wrapped around herself, and her face relaxed at last. I want to stroke her hair. I want to lie beside her. I want to touch that horrible love bite on her breast and wish it away. I want to curl into her naked body. I want to whisper in her ear, I love you, Carrie. But instead, I take the extra blanket from the wardrobe and lay it gently over her. Then I wait until I hear her soft snores before I take her laptop out of her bag and lay it on the desk. Then, without making a sound, I carefully open the lid. I'm not doing anything wrong. I just want to know more about her. Sometimes people don't tell you the whole story. They like to present the version of themselves that they want you to see. But it's amazing what you can find out about a person from their deleted items folder. 2. lauralee@gmail.com. From carrie82@hotmail.com. Subject, never drinking again. NDA. Writing this from bed in a random town in Russia. It's called Irkutsk, and it's where all those poor fuckers got exiled to about 100 years ago. Apparently there's a huge rate of depression and suicide in Siberia, and to be honest, from what I've seen so far, it's not much of a shocker. Not that I have seen much, as the taxi journey was absolutely mental, and I had my eyes shut most of the time, thinking we were going to die. Then the driver tried to take us to a different hotel, and I was sure it was a scam, but now I'm not sure, as this place is a bit shit. The view out of the balcony is the wall of another building, and I'm sure I can hear the sounds of wolves pacing and growling outside. Do they have wolves here? I don't actually know, but it's all just a bit shady. And I realise we should have just gone to the bloody lake that people insist on telling us about all the time. Sigh. Anywho, how are you? Did you get my message from the Gobi? I've got a lot more to tell you about what went on out there, but I'm still trying to process it all myself. I had a reading, if that's what they call it, from a shaman. Yeah, I know, I have now planted an earworm. Move Any Mountain has been in my head ever since the word shaman was mentioned. And we did meet more than one, so I guess that means I have actually met the shaman. Okay, not the shaman. I wonder where they are now. Do you think Mr. C is still alive? I always fancied him in the 90s. Fuck, I'm rambling. So, we had some weird shit in the desert, magic mushrooms in a pipe type shit, some weird tea. I am ruined. Things went a bit mental with Violet, and then we were stuck on a train together for 90 hours. But we survived. God. I'll go into it later. I'm still knackered. She's gone out somewhere, probably doing the bit of sightseeing that I'm not going to get round to, despite it being the entire reason for coming here and not the bloody lakes. But she did leave me a very nice breakfast, cheese and ham and bread and yoghurt, all wrapped up in a linen napkin. I started to think we were going to have to go our separate ways, but I've had a kip and I'm clean again after being a stinking cow for about 5 days. So maybe I'll just see it out with her to Moscow and then piss off after that. I've stuck rigidly to our plans up to now for no reason other than I just wanted to do the trip we had spent so much time talking about. But maybe that's pointless. I don't know. I think I'll head to Germany after Moscow. I feel like I need some proper European reality for a while. Sausages and pretzels. BTW, I wrote a couple of rambling messages to you when I was off my head, but thankfully I was still coherent enough not to actually send them. Deleted now and never coming back. Hallucinogenics and vodka are not a good mix. I need to come back home and go on a detox. Love you lots. Tell me all your news. C. Kiss, kiss, kiss. 2. lauralee@gmail.com. Deleted. From Carrie82@hotmail.com. Subject: free! Oh man, I don't know what was in that tea, but it has done mental things to me. I don't know if Violet even drank it. She totally freaked us all out anyway. I feel fuzzy. I keep looking at my hands on the keyboard as I type and they don't look like my real hands. They look like Muppet hands. Furry and fat, and they seem to be moving by themselves, or else someone else is moving them. I keep getting stabbing pains in my head and I have to close my eyes. And when I do remember all these things, all these memories just flash into my head and I can't make sense of them, and I don't even know if I'm dreaming or awake now, and I don't even know if I'm typing this at all or if I just think I am. The desert is scary. It's empty and dry, and there's this big fucking sky and these mountains and little lumps of things that look like moon rock, and it just doesn't feel like anything is real anymore. The shaman were banging drums and throwing milk. Yes, milk. I don't understand. And they said things to me that made sense and some of it didn't, but Violet... Oh, Violet. I'm scared of her now. I just want to come home. I'm not going to send this email. Forget it. I brought some stuff with me in a little bag and I've hidden it, but I can't remember where.
2. Sarah and Doug Osborne at btinternet.co.uk. From Carrie82 at hotmail.com. Subject, checking in. Hello. You're right. I was on the train when you emailed. There was reception now and again, but I don't think all my messages were coming through. I'm having a great time. Obviously, it's not the same at all without Laura, but I've made a new friend. She's called Violet. She's about my age, comes from Nottingham, but has lived all over. I think her parents are super rich from what she's been saying, but she hasn't paid me for anything yet. I know. I'm going to ask her for some money today. I don't really mind about the train ticket, as I was resigned to losing that cash anyway, but she's quite good at evading the subject of cash. I know that sounds dodgy, but to be honest, I just needed someone to hang about with. I was getting a bit lonely on my own, despite all my chat before I left saying it would be an adventure and that all women should travel on their own for the experience. I know you tried to talk me out of it in your diplomatic way. But anyway, you and Dad can enjoy saying, "I told you so," when I get back. We are doing so many amazing things, though. The train journey itself is a huge experience, but we've been in the Gobi Desert and ridden horses. We've been to a nomadic festival, drank sheep's and horses' milk, not as bad as you imagine. And now I am in Siberia. Mental! I am looking forward to Moscow. I'll make sure I buy you the biggest Russian doll I can find. And now I have Kate Bush singing Babushka in my head. Hope you have too. Having a chill-out day today, catching up on emails and reading. Probably just have a quiet dinner tonight, and then we're off on the train again tomorrow. Rosie emailed me about her job. Good news. I think I might look for something different when I get back. I've been a bit bored for a while, and I think this trip has opened my mind a bit. Don't worry, I have not gone all new age. I can actually hear Dad saying that right now when you read this out to him. Love you lots. Carrie. Kiss, kiss. Kiss, kiss. 2. Rosie Posey 1985 at gmail.com. From Carrie82 at hotmail.com. Subject, news. Gypsy Rosalie! I am in Siberia. Well done on the job. I am totally ditching mine when I get back. Life is too short for boring offices and that freak Danny who keeps bringing me peeled oranges with his fingerprints dented into the flesh. He is obviously a serial killer trying to perfect his knife work, and he has a long way to go. Of course you can borrow the dress, my darling sister, who has never ruined any of my clothes, ever. I assume you have already worn it. It is dry clean only. See, kiss, kiss. P.S. I will bring you back one of those big, hairy Russian hats with ear flaps. You and Marcus can share it. 2. Laura Lee at gmail.com. From Carrie82 at hotmail.com. Subject, free. I am trying so hard to be normal right now. Somehow I have managed to email Rosie and my parents and not sound like I am on the tail end of an epic bender, but Rosie probably knows even if I write 2 sentences. She's probably on the phone to Mum now telling her they need to book me into rehab. So much crap is swirling around my head, Laws. It's like my brain has expanded and all the memories I've kept locked up have pushed their way back to the surface and now they won't go away.
I keep thinking about school and all the stupid things that I did. Do you remember when that new boy started in P7? I think his name was Keith or Kevin or Keegan, something like that. But remember when we all chased him in the playground and the boys battered him and we threw stones at him until he cried? I can't believe we did that, Loz. I think about it all the time, and I think about where he is now, and I hope he's got a good, successful life, and I hope he never thinks about that day and how we bullied him for no reason at all other than he was new. Why are children so cruel? I don't think I'm cruel now, but I don't know. I still need to tell you about Greg. Oh, my head really hurts and I'm shaking now. I'm fucked, Loz. I'm still coming down from that weird tea shit and whatever it was that we smoked and the vodka and the pills I took on the train. I've drunk 4 coffees, but it's no helped. I just need something to take the edge off.
Chapter 23. Carrie didn't wake up at all last night, so I spent the time reading her emails, which was enlightening, to put it mildly. She's very trusting to leave her laptop lying around without a password, but then she's very trusting to allow a total stranger to share a room with her. These are things that people do when they're travelling. But you'd think when you passed the age of 30 that some of the naivety would disappear, along with the youthful roundness and flawless skin. Not that there's anything wrong with Carrie's skin. Quite the opposite. It's as smooth and pale as alabaster. She looks at least 10 years younger than she is. It surprises me that she's so trusting in some ways, and yet so on the ball with other things, like knowing the currency and the costs and not letting us get ripped off. I've been ripped off a few times, but then I suppose when you've never had to work a day in your life, never had to want for a thing, it's easy to play fast and loose with a few quid. Just like my little game of not paying for anything. I'm sure Carrie has realised by now that she's paid for all the accommodation, food and tickets since she met me, but she hasn't commented yet. Well, unless you include her drunken rant on the train. To be honest, I'm getting a bit bored with the game now. I'll draw some money out and pay her back today. I ate breakfast alone, which wasn't the plan, but Carrie barely stirred when I asked if she was getting up, so I suppose she needed that sleep after all. Being the good friend that I am, I took her up a little something from the dining room, some bread, jam, ham, cheese, and what I think was a raspberry yoghurt. It was difficult to tell from the picture on the carton. The maid was on our floor when I left, and I asked her for a few extra coffee sachets and some fresh milk. Perhaps I'll take Carrie out for dinner tonight too, to say thank you for everything. Partly because I want to, but also because it will knock her off guard and give me the upper hand again. I sense she is starting to tire of me, and I'm not ready to move on just yet. The street that our hotel is on is quite dull and grey. But a few streets on, heading towards what I think is the historic town centre, things start to brighten. The place is fairly quiet on the whole, but I'm glad of a little downtime for a while. I can see the brightly coloured, rounded turrets of a church in the distance and feel myself drawn towards it. There is something very beautiful about the over-the-top gaudiness of the Russian Orthodox churches. This one is called Kazhinskaya Tserkov, and it looks like a cross between a gingerbread house and a children's painting of a castle, all red brick and green checkered turrets. I stop at the entrance and take a few photographs, but I decide not to go inside. The sun is shining and I need to stretch my legs and blow away the cobwebs.
Carrie was interested in finding out about the Decemberists, those revolutionaries who were exiled to Siberia in the 1800s. But as I've no idea when she's likely to surface, I decide to visit the area myself and report back. It's not my fault that she slept in and missed the chance to do the only thing she came here for. I take out the map that I picked up from the surly receptionist, briefly checking that I am going the right way. And it's not long before I come across the streets filled with ramshackle wooden houses where they set up their new community, under much suspicion from the locals. It's interesting enough for a while. I try to imagine what it must have been like, although it's hard to believe that it's almost 200 years ago. But without anyone else to talk to about it, I get bored fairly soon. I'm not particularly interested in the history, but at least I can tell Carrie that I have been, for both of us. Back in town, I pass another fancy church, but I don't bother taking a photo of this one, as it's not as impressive as the one that I already have many photos of. I'm craving some human interaction now, and I consider heading back to the hotel to see if Carrie has woken up yet. But then I see a sign for a market and decide to pop in there first. I didn't eat a huge amount for breakfast, spending more time wrapping up a pretty little parcel of food for Carrie. I hope she's eaten it and not let my efforts go to waste. My thoughts today are uncharitable, and I feel irrationally irritated for no real reason that I can put my finger on. Maybe it is time for me to move on. Perhaps Carrie isn't what I'm looking for after all. Or maybe I'm just feeling a bit out of sorts and in need of another adventure. I've always had a short attention span. I tend to spend a lot more time coveting what I think I want than I do enjoying it when I have it. I used to beg my parents for things when I was younger, and they used to hold out for as long as possible just to see me suffer. Then they'd relent, and I'd be fed up with whatever it was I had campaigned so hard to get. Everything from the newest trainers to fancy dresses, overnight stays in fancy places, and eventually a car. They bought me a pale blue Saab 900, wrapped it in a red ribbon, and left it on the driveway. I didn't even bother to learn to drive it. For reasons that no one could ever understand, my parents and I played a constant game of cat and mouse, with each of us taking turns in both roles. I suspect it was because we were all extremely bored. What's the point of getting all the things you want if you don't even have to make an effort? The market turns out to be one of the covered, permanent types in a huge building taking over an entire block. This seems to be where everyone in the town hangs around, as there are more people just at the multiple entrances hovering around, smoking, chattering, and doing nothing, than I have seen in any of the streets up to now. On a bench outside, a youngish man in a tracksuit sits swigging from a can of beer while jabbering away on his phone. At the other end of the same bench, an elderly woman is knitting. A small bottle of vodka rests on the ground next to her handbag. Behind them both is a kiosk about the size of 2 telephone boxes jammed together. It is glass-fronted, and all that is on display is about 500 different kinds of alcoholic spirit. On the counter itself are several different brands of beer, cans and bottles. So this is what people get up to in Russia. The guidebook did suggest that drinking plays a significant part in their daily lives, but I hadn't expected it to be quite so blatant. But then we are in the depths of Siberia. It's a nice enough day right now, but I hate to think what winter might bring. As I enter the market, I am assaulted by the strong smell of fish. I walk quickly past the stalls with their frightening-looking underwater creatures, which I assume have come from the lake, and I'm subjected to many calls in Russian, presumably telling me which of their wares are the best and trying to get me to buy them. I head down another aisle and am smacked in the face with the intense aroma of cheese. I slow a bit here and allow them to tempt me, taking small cubes on cocktail sticks and making appreciative noises. I don't buy anything. I pass the salivating scents of bread and cakes, the meaty stench of the butchery section, and then I get a strong hint of hops and I follow my nose down a narrow aisle that leads to the prize. A series of narrow aisles join a wider open area where lots of men of various ages and a few women are standing at high tables drinking from plastic cups of beer. All around the tables are small stalls with 1 or 2 beer pumps, and some with snacks, blinis and pretzels and nuts and olives. The sounds of the chatter are echoed and magnified, and I glance up and realise there is a huge glass-domed roof that wasn't visible from outside. I look around and see that while I had initially thought that most people were here in groups, there are lots of people on their own too, some sharing tables, some looking like they want to chat and others not. For a moment, I wish that Carrie was here. She would be in her element. She'd be scouting around for the liveliest table, asking for recommendations for the best beers. She'd be in the thick of it. Not like me, hanging back, those familiar feelings of being overwhelmed coming to the surface. I can hear my mum's clipped voice. "You're too dull to make friends. It's no surprise that they all get bored with you." I've tried, though. I have. I shake my head trying to get my mum's face out of my mind. Her patronising voice. What did she ever do with her life? Her friends are all fake, only sticking around for her over-the-top parties and her too expensive gifts. She's bought all her so-called friends, and I don't want to be like her. Thinking about money, I remind myself that I wanted some cash to take back to Carrie. There's a cash machine across the room, and I head over and withdraw 50,000 rubles. I've no idea how much that is, but it'll do for now. I push the money deep into the pocket of my denim cutoffs and head to one of the small bars. I frown at the pumps, not knowing which one to go for, and then something makes me turn around. That feeling when there's someone in your presence, a shift in the air that grabs your attention. He's at the small bar, the one I had almost chosen before this one. His head is dipped, turned away from me, and I can't see his face. But suddenly, I can't breathe. It can't be.
"What do you like?"
The man behind my bar is holding a glass aloft, head cocked slightly, waiting. I can't stop staring at the man at the next bar. It's something in the way he moves his head, the way he runs his hand through his thick, sandy hair. His hair was one of the first things I noticed. Well cut and styled, but natural. Not one of these stupid hipster haircuts full of wax and cream. The shape of his shoulders, too, and the perfectly sculpted arms fitted perfectly into his t-shirt. Not straining and bulging like those idiots who spend too long in the gym. I'd stood behind him at the reception desk, waiting to check in. The man behind the counter was flustered and taking too long. He was serving a couple who seemed to be making a number of requests that he wasn't used to dealing with. He was standing behind them, seemingly unbothered by the delay. Head bent slightly as he scrolled through his phone. He smelled of citrus aftershave and the underlying hint of coconut sun cream. I'd taken a couple of steps towards him, and I could see his phone screen through the gap in the bend of his arm. Pictures of him and friends, active, happy people. I think he must have sensed me then in his personal space and had taken a step forwards, just as the harassed receptionist finished with the couple and beckoned him to the desk. I'd stepped forwards too, but kept enough distance this time. I dropped my rucksack onto the floor and started to rifle through the top pocket, making it seem like I was busy looking for my passport or something.
Miss, you want the beer?
The man behind the pump speaks loudly to me, as if he thinks I haven't heard him. I shake my head and step away from the bar. Another man slides into my space, and he and the barman start talking in fast Russian. The man at the next bar points to one of the pumps, and the man behind the bar nods and starts pouring the beer. Dark liquid and a thick foamy head that spills over the sides. He slices the foam off the top with a long, flat knife and places it on the bar. The man with the sandy hair hands over a note, and he must sense me staring, because he turns around to face me, and I feel a whoosh of relief, of disappointment.
All right,
he asks. Australian. Quite a bit younger than I'd thought. He lifts his pint up and says,
"Cheers then,"
and gives me a look that says he's not really sure what I am staring at him for. Then he walks away, and I watch out of the corner of my eye as he joins a table of similarly young travellers, all shorts and sunglasses and empty glasses all over the table. It's not him. Of course it's not him. I checked his Facebook a few hours ago and he was still in Thailand, so he's not likely to be here in Siberia now, unless someone has stolen his phone and is continuing his trip updates for him. I start laughing. I can't help it. Then I have to pretend to look at my phone so that I don't look insane, and I go back to my little bar and point to the pump and drop a note on the bar and smile, then take a huge drink of the beer, barely tasting it, enjoying the fizz as it burns down my throat. "I'll have another," I say, pointing at the pump again. The man behind the bar says something I don't understand, and then he grins and hands me my drink. I'm shaking slightly as the adrenaline leaves my body, and I walk over to a high table where two men are drinking and chatting expressively with loud voices and gesturing arms, and I say hi, then "Dobry dien," which I memorized from the guidebook, and I hope means good afternoon. They glance at me, and then back at each other, and then back to me again.
"Hello, lady," the first one says.
They look practically the same. Dark hair, cut in the same blocky style. They are both wearing tracksuits, which is what most of the younger men seem to wear.
"Another beer?"
the other one says. "Das spasibo," I say. Yes, thanks. They both laugh at this.
"Your Russian is very good," the first one says. I giggle at this because it's what I think they expect.
"That's about it," I say. The second one goes off to one of the little bars to get more beers, and I smile and try not to look like I feel, which is utterly out of my depth. It was easy to talk to Sam, I realise now, but it felt almost impossible at the time. I glance around at the table where the Sam lookalike sits with his friends, and I think about going over there, giving them my biggest grin, trying to merge in with their plans, act like I'm just like them. But I can't. Russian number 2 comes back with our drinks, and I know I've chosen this path now.
"За здоровье,"
says Russian number 1. We all smash our glasses together, but they don't chink, because they're plastic. I take a long, slow drink. I can feel their eyes on me, so I smile. They grin back, and there's a hint of something else under the surface. Something dangerous. I like it. Russian number 2 moves around the small table until his arm brushes against mine. You want to go to party? Fun party, says Russian number 1. We'll look after you. He points to his chest. Sergei and Lev. The other one cuts in. They're both grinning, delighted with themselves for managing to ensnare me. Or so they think. I drain my drink and grin back. Sure. Why not? Chapter 24. I manage to convince my 2 new friends, Sergei and Lev, that I have to return to the hotel first, to freshen up, and also to collect my friend. Their eyes light up at the second statement, and I'm quite sure that Carrie and I are in for a wild night, in their eyes at least. They give me an address, and when I check the map on the way back to the hotel, I see that it's up in the area of the historic wooden houses. Carrie will get to see them after all. I'm feeling nicely buzzed from the beers and the compliments, and even though I have no intention of letting things go any further with either of these men, I feel a bit better than I did earlier. Thoughts of Sam are pushed firmly to the back of my mind, for now, at least. When I get back to the hotel, Carrie is up and dressed, and looking a lot better than she did this morning. I notice that she's unpacked my bag and hung everything up. I want to say something, but I can't because I did the same to hers, didn't I? A fleeting memory passes. Something stuffed into the side pocket of my bag in the gear. Did she put something in there? Having looked through my stuff, go for it, you won't find anything. I try to make it sound light, jokey, but from the expression on her face, I don't think I've succeeded. She recovers quickly. I was just doing you a favour, V, like you did for me. It's nice to hang everything up once in a while, to let the creases fall out. This room has the most coat hangers I've ever seen. She turns away and stuffs something into her makeup bag. I decide not to question it. Maybe they get lots of customers wearing dresses. She laughs at that. Ladies of the night, you mean? I guess that would explain why the receptionist seems to be studiously avoiding looking anyone in the eye. I went down and asked her for some Coke and she got quite flustered, although the non-liquid kind might have been welcome when I finally managed to get myself out of bed. I had the shakes so bad I could have churned butter from a carton of milk. She must have been on more than vodka on our last night on the train. There's no way she'd have got in that state otherwise. But then again, there was a lot of vodka and not a lot of anything else. We're probably both lucky we didn't die of alcohol poisoning. Carrie's lost weight since we first met. Drinking more than eating will do that to you. Well, if you're up to it, we've been invited to a party tonight, up at the wooden houses. Oh, cool. If you'd come back and said this a few hours ago, I'd have told you where to go, but actually, yeah, why not? Whose party is it? She wanders over to the dressing table and lays her makeup bag down, then picks up a powder compact, starts dabbing her face with the little sponge. She looks at me in the mirror. Where have you even been? I shrug. I went for a wander around town, saw some fancy churches, went to the houses, saw some old cars. Then I ended up in this market. Oh God, I nearly forgot. I saw this guy and I thought it was Sam.
please tell me you're not still thinking about Sam. Jeez, V, you weren't thinking about him much at the festival or on the train. I stand beside her and pick up a mascara. You're going to bring this up now? When, then? I think you made it pretty clear that you're not interested. She picks up a black eyeliner, starts expertly running it across her lids. Her hand is steady and the line is neat. I have never been able to do it like that. She places the eyeliner back down, then rummages in her makeup bag, and a small plastic wrapper slides out. She grabs it quickly and looks away, but I've already seen what it is. Fucking hell, Carrie! You brought that over the border? She won't look at me. Forgot I had it. I grab her shoulders and spin her around to face me. What do you mean you forgot you had it? You took that from the tent, the one we were in before the private ritual. Was it not bad enough at the time? Jesus, why would you want to take it again? Where did you even hide it? I understand then. She'd hidden it in my bag. It would have been me who'd been arrested if it had been found, not her. I'm fuming, but I'm also quite impressed at her clever move. I decide to store this information for later. Don't say it's been in your makeup bag all the time, because I don't believe you. That's exactly the kind of place the border guards would look. Yeah, well, they didn't look, did they? I distracted them. I told them you were ill. I'm confused by this. I can't even remember the border crossing. I'm sure I didn't wake up, but the guards must have come into the cabin. Surely they've heard all the tricks before. She's a decent liar, it seems. Well, well. They like pretty white girls. V, hardly a shocker. I made sure the stuff was hidden and I didn't involve you. I thought you'd be pleased. You know what happened last time we smoked that stuff. I've really tried hard to stay calm throughout everything. But I can feel the anger bubbling in me now. Stop it, Carrie. Stop playing with me. Everything's just a big game to you, isn't it? You gave Rory the come on, then you blocked him at the final stage. You're messing about with me and you think it's okay because it's just a bit of fun. But I'm telling you now, this is not that. This is more than that. Christ, Violet, keep your hair on. I'm sorry, okay? I shouldn't have brought it. I shouldn't have messed with your feelings either. I never meant to. I just thought that... Don't you get it? I scream at her. I want to grab her and shake her. Her eyes widen at my raised voice and she sits down hard on the end of her bed. Violet? No. You need to get it, Carrie. You need to understand. She closes her eyes. Understand what? I love you, Carrie. She falls back onto the bed. No, you don't, Violet, she says gently. She flips onto her side and faces me. You just think you do because it's all been so intense. We've been in each other's pockets since we met. You know, I've been thinking... She pauses, sits up again, swinging her legs back round off the bed. I think maybe we should go our separate ways after this. You need to carry on with your trip how you want it, and I... Tears spring to my eyes, making them itch. No. Please. That's the last thing I want.
I take a few deep breaths, trying to calm myself down. I don't want to do this. I don't want to sound desperate or make a fool of myself.
This is just like what happened with Sam. I can't believe I've been used and let down again.
Carrie sighs. Oh, look, you're blowing this all out of proportion. Let's go to the party. Have a laugh. She comes over to me and puts an arm around me, squeezing me into her side. We've had so many laughs. We've made so many memories. Let's not spoil it, though, eh? I swallow down salty tears. Then I nod. I don't want her to see me like this. I want to be the fun, sexy Violet that she's been hanging out with. Come on then, I say. Let's go. If I've only got one night to convince her that we should stay together, then I need to sort myself out fast. You know, I think I've got PMT. She laughs, then grabs her bag and heads for the door. I follow her, because that's what I always do. She can kick me as many times as she likes and I'll still want her. I'll still love her. Won't I? The thumping bass line leads us to the right door. I knock, hard, but I don't expect anyone to hear it. I'm about to tell Carrie we should just go in, when the door swings open and the smiling bulk of Sergei stands in the doorway. He's holding a bottle of Baltika lager in one hand and a cigarette in the other.
Ladies, you made it.
He seems genuinely pleased, even more so when he clocks Carrie standing a little behind me, hidden in the shadows. She steps out into the light, and his eyes seem to darken immediately. He grins wider, looking her up and down.
This is your friend? Hello, friend, he says.
I'm Carrie, she says, stepping forwards and taking the cigarette out of his fingers. She takes a drag, then blows a perfect smoke ring into his face. He turns to me.
I like your friend.
Carrie follows him into the house, and I follow her. The house is packed with people, lots of men lounging on chairs in tracksuits and ridiculously glamorous women in tight dresses and high heels, faces Botoxed and made up like drag queens. Carrie turns to me and raises her eyebrows, and I'm glad that we're still bonded over this. We are not like these women. The women are drinking champagne or vodka shots. Sergei disappears into the crowd, but we keep walking, looking for a place to sit or even just a place to stand. I feel overwhelmed all of a sudden. Despite the things we've done already on this trip, the people we've met, the situations we've been in, when it comes to something like this, I clam up and I need guidance. Or else I have the urge to flee back to safety where I don't have to try to fit in. Luckily, Carrie steps up to the challenge. She grabs my hand and drags me through gyrating bodies. She turns to me, grinning. "Thank fuck you made us come out," she shouts. I can barely hear her over the din. She jostles us past various partygoers, some dancing, some huddled in groups, shouting into each other's ears. A thin girl with long dark hair, almost as long as her buttock-skimming dress, is gyrating against a fat man in a grey tracksuit who looks old enough to be her dad. Eventually, we find the kitchen, where people are huddled around worktops littered with bottles and cans. A couple of people are in the corner, squashed close together, leaning down, heads together. The woman lifts her head and turns to me, wiping her nose. She glares at us, then the man lifts his head and she looks at him and tips her head back and laughs. They move apart just enough for me to see the granite chopping board in the space behind them, 2 silver straws sitting there next to a credit card and their one remaining line.
Here.
I spin around at the sound of Carrie's voice, and she holds out a champagne glass filled with pale liquid, bubbles still fizzing up to the top.
Cheers,
she says, and downs her drink. Then she picks up the bottle from where she's left it nearby and tops up her glass, downs it again. Steady, I say. We've only just got here. She laughs and gestures around the room using the bottle as a pointer.
We've got a bit of catching up to do.
I finish my drink and I'm about to say something else when I feel strong arms grabbing me around my waist. I try to squirm free, but I'm trapped.
Hey there,
he whispers in my ear.
It's Lev, remember?
He releases his grip and I wriggle free, turning to face him. Hi. He lets me go and takes a step back.
Oh, not so much fun tonight, maybe. I think your friend is having all the fun, though.
I turn back to see Carrie laughing hard, swigging from the champagne bottle. Sergei has a meaty arm draped over her shoulders and he is leaning in, whispering something in her ear. He's stroking her cheek. A burst of annoyance pops inside me. Why can't she just be here with me? Why does there always have to be a fucking man involved in her fun? Does she have so little self-esteem that the only way she can enjoy herself is to have male attention? I think back to the Gobi trip and how she led Rory on, all for her own amusement. He was all mouth when it came to it, all over her but not brave enough to see it through and make a proper move. I watch Sergei, at the way he is hulking over her, and I think she'd better be careful. I don't think he's going to be a fan of her little games. I snatch up a bottle of lager from a cooler box on the worktop and take a long drink. Lev has gone, disappeared into the crowd. I was clearly not up for the kind of fun he had in mind, and to be honest, I'm glad he's left me to it. When I turn back, Carrie has gone. Panic washes over me for a moment. I don't want to be here. My heart thumps in time with the bass line that's still pulsing through from the other room. I should go back to the hotel. Forget this place, leave Carrie to it. I don't like the way she's trying to play my emotions. 1 minute my best friend, the next she's off with whoever takes her fancy. Why am I not enough for her? Why am I not enough for anyone? I down the beer and take another one from the cooler, then I wander back through to the main room where all the action is happening. Maybe I should go with Lev. He's keen enough for us both. But there's something about this place, this party, this whole setup that makes my insides itch. I hover on the edges, observing with disgust. Why are these girls so interested in these hideous men? I don't believe that they can't find any better options. Sergei and Lev are far from the worst here, but I'm just not feeling it. I take another mouthful of beer, then push myself through the crowd. I spot Carrie on the other side of the room, near the DJ. She's huddled close to Sergei, and I can't make out if they are kissing or doing drugs, as I can only see the backs of their heads. An angry-looking, harshly bleached blonde elbows me out of the way as I walk further towards Carrie and Sergei, and I feel a rush of blood threatening to burst out. I need to get Carrie and get the hell out of here. Hey, I touch her shoulder, and she turns slowly to face me, and then I see what she's doing. Oh, I, she says, the I long and drawn on her smoky outbreath. Have some. She thrusts the small pipe into my face, and I snatch it away, peering at the lit end, not believing what I'm seeing. What the fuck? Didn't we just talk about this? My cheeks burn with fury. How could she do this? It could have been both of us banged up in some Asian prison, not just her. She snatches the pipe back from me and rolls her eyes. Jesus Christ, lighten up, bitch. Sergei laughs, and I feel the rage boiling deeper inside me. Carrie, this is insane. Don't you remember what this stuff did to us? It's her turn to laugh. Not really, V. But I think it was something good, yeah? Anyway, thought you'd be pleased. I had to suck both of the guards' cocks to get this stuff over the border without a fuss. You're so fucking ungrateful. She turns away and her and Sergei start laughing again. She whispers something in his ear, and then he leans across to the DJ, moving the guy's headphones and cupping his hands around his ear. Fuck you, Carrie! I push through the crowd again, and this time it feels like I am shoving hard through crashing waves. Faces swim at me, laughing, drinking, kissing. Voices saying words I don't understand. I see the woman who pushed me, and I push her hard out of the way. I hear shouts of, "You fucking bitch!" as I ignore the cacophony and stumble through the room, desperately searching for the way back out. I see Lev lurching towards me, and I have to dodge past a couple who are practically having sex against a bookcase in the corner of the room. I slide round the edges until I find the door, ignoring the calls, ignoring Carrie's voice in the distance coming towards me somewhere above the din, as I realise now what the DJ is playing. It's my song. Violet by Hole. Courtney Love is shrieking her beautiful grungy tones, telling me to take everything. She wants me to. I think that might be my problem. I do want everything. But I can't always get it. To Carrie82@hotmail.com. From lauralee@gmail.com. Subject: You're freaking me out. Fuck's sake, Kaz. I hope you've come down from whatever that shit was you were taking, and I really hope you didn't find your stash. Maybe Violet took it? I think you need to lay off the drink and the partying for a while. I think you're right to be thinking about leaving Violet too. She doesn't sound like a good person, Kaz. Or at least she's not doing you any favours. I've seen you like this before, remember? But that was a long time ago, and you seemed to have really sorted yourself out, and now it's going a bit mental again. Maybe you should come home. It doesn't matter about the rest of the trip. If it's not doing you any good, then sack it off and come back. Okay, I know you don't want to talk about Greg, and that's fine with me. You need a new job too. I know you weren't happy before you left, but just come home and we can sort you out, okay? I'm worried about you over there. I do remember Keith, actually. You obviously don't remember what I told you about him. He left our school when he was 15 and got sent to a boys' home, juvie or whatever you call it. He burned his house down. His mum nearly died. There was a big article about him, all about the things he'd done as a kid. There was something wrong with him, Carrie. You didn't bully him. He hurt us, and we tried to get him back. You seem to have stored this a bit differently in your head. Or maybe the drugs and the trippy shamanic thing just made you mix things up. Sometimes people are just bad apples. You're not the bad one, doll. But I think you need to come home. L. Kiss, kiss, kiss. To lauralee@gmail.com. From Carrie82@hotmail.com.
Subject? Jingle. Oh, shit. At a weird party. Don't know what's happening. This bloke wants to fuck me. Violet is being a mental. I don't feel good. We're sure you were here. Kiss, 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 kiss.
End of CD 5. CD 6.
Chapter 25. The walk back to the hotel passes in a blur of tears, humiliation, and anger. I thought I was getting to know Carrie, but I don't know her at all. Not only did she push me away, but she laughed at me and made the others laugh at me too. The song is still swirling around in my head. My song, spoiled now by her. Carrie screaming it across the room, laughing, smoking. I felt like I'd been stabbed in the heart. The last thing I saw was her face, pink and sweaty, hair plastered to her forehead, mouthing the song lyrics at me. Sergei laughing, arm around her neck, saying something in Russian, and the other men laughing. Then she disappeared, sucked back into the crowd. The other men tried to get me to stay, but they were rough-looking, wearing tracksuits, drinking too many beers, chattering and nudging each other, staring at me with hunger in their eyes. I know what they wanted. They smelled wrong. It felt wrong. They called my name, tried to get me to stay, and for a moment I worried that they would try to stop me from leaving, but they gave up pretty quickly. There were plenty of other girls there to entertain them. Girls in short, tight dresses. Too much hairspray and no time for the likes of me. Carrie seemed to fit in with them better. She's like a chameleon. She can adapt to any environment, get on with whoever she's with. The old folks on the train, the Mongolian farmers, and now these people. These people that I don't trust at all. I don't even care where she is now. The streets are quiet, eerie. This is not a town filled with revellers. I wish I could grab my stuff now and jump on a train out of here, but I know there are no trains tonight. I think back to our arrival, my time in the market where I had fun, felt alive. I'd been so excited about the party. I pass a cafe that still has its lights on, but there is no one inside. I'd like to sit somewhere on my own, have a drink, maybe try and speak to the person working in there, someone who hasn't humiliated me. The people in the market were friendly, but the ones at the party weren't. They might have been, if they hadn't been taken in by Carrie. Like I've been. I should have known it was too good to be true. Meeting her like that. Having her bring me along on this trip. Who does that? Impulsive people. I'd always thought I was impulsive. Ready for anything. Excited by new experiences, but Carrie is something else. She's used me up and spat me out. I wander the streets for a long time trying to calm down. I lose all track of time as things rattle around in my head, taunting me. I lose my bearings, ending up in several unfamiliar streets, but I keep going, and somehow I find myself back at the hotel. I glance down the alley, and I pause for a moment, thinking that someone is down there, a noise. Did someone cry out? I take a step closer, but it's too dark. There are no lights from the balconies. I shake my head. A fox, maybe, or a wild dog. It's late, the sky already changing hue as the sun starts its ascent. I need to get inside. I need to sleep. The receptionist doesn't lift her head as I walk past. She has headphones in, and I can see the flickering light of a TV show reflecting back from her computer. I take the stairs instead of the lift, trying to prolong the journey. I don't expect Carrie to be in there. I don't care if she is or she isn't. First thing tomorrow, I'm out of here. I hear the voices before I get to the door. Muffled grunts, the thump, thump of the bedpost against the thin partition wall. I can't tell yet if it is coming from our room or not. I pause outside the door for a moment, dredging my keys from the bottom of my bag. I am completely sober now. Any happy buzz I'd felt from the drinks I'd had early on at the party are long gone, and now all I want to do is curl up in bed and go to sleep. If that noise is coming from the room next to us, hopefully I can block it out with a pillow over my head. The scream comes as I turn the key in the lock. I freeze. What do I do now? If someone is being hurt, then I should help them. But what if I'm wrong? Was it a scream, or was it a cry of pleasure? And which room is it coming from? I push open the door, and then I realise. It's coming from our room. Carrie is lying face down on the bed, her face towards me. The man is on top of her, unbuckling his jeans, pressing down on her. She cries out again, and I know for sure it's a scream, not a cry of pleasure. Her eyes find me there and widen as big as saucers. "Violet," she whispers.
Shut up,
the man says.
You want me to hit you again, you filthy bitch?
My heart is thumping hard now, and I feel like I might throw up. Carrie tries to shake her head to signal that it's okay, but I know it isn't. But I also know that the man hasn't seen me yet. He's too engrossed in what he's doing. The red mist descends. I have been on my best behaviour. I have let her take centre stage. I've reined myself in, tried to be who she wanted me to be. But I can't maintain this facade now. Not when this is happening right in front of my eyes. Her eyes plead. Don't come in. Don't get involved. He's up on his knees now, pinning her with one arm, holding his bulging cock with the other. She stopped struggling. She closes her eyes. He still hasn't seen me. I walk slowly into the room, glad that I am wearing flat shoes, good drinking shoes, I think, with a smile. They make no sound on the lino floor. I pick up the lamp from the desk and carefully pull the plug from the wall. I notice there's a bottle of vodka sitting there that wasn't there before. I hesitate. Bottle or lamp? Lamp. He's back on her now, grunting, thrusting. Her eyes are now tightly closed, and he has one hand around her neck. I watch for a moment longer, and then I raise my arm. The lamp is not as heavy as I thought. Or perhaps adrenaline really does give you superhuman strength. His breathing is faster now. His grunts are like the squeals of a disgusting, fat pig. But he's not a pig. He is a wolf, a predator. And no matter what Carrie has done to me, I will not allow this to happen. I take another step, and Carrie's eyes fly open as I bring the base of the lamp down on the back of his head. Again. 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 Carrie screams, and I throw myself onto the bed, pushing him off her onto the floor. I put a hand over her mouth. Blood is still coursing through my veins. Shh, I say, you have to be quiet. Her eyes dart to the side and I see what she can see. He's moving, trying to pull himself up. He puts a hand to the back of his head, then looks at it quizzically. There's a lot of blood, but head wounds tend to be like that. Carrie opens her mouth to scream once more, and I launch myself back towards him, lamp in hand. I hit him in the face this time, and he staggers back, tripping over his own feet. Out of the open door, and onto the balcony. He is trying to speak, but only bubbles of blood come from his mouth. Carrie grabs hold of my t-shirt from behind. Stop! She says, stop! But I can't. 2. Carrie82@hotmail.com. From lauralee@gmail.com. Subject, Carrie, email me back, please. I don't even understand your last email. I'm worried about you. L, kiss, kiss. 2. Carrie82@hotmail.com. From Sarah and Doug Osborne at btinternet.co.uk. Subject, just your mother. Hello, darling. Just a quick one, as I know you're busy gallivanting. Dad was wondering if you were thinking about getting a new car when you come home. Morris at the office is selling a lovely little Fiat. Check in soon, please. We miss you. Lots of love, Mum and Dad. Kiss, kiss. Chapter 26. When I wake up, there is a brief moment when I think that everything is the same as it was yesterday. I lift my head slowly, and it feels fuzzy and heavy, and a pulsing starts behind one eye. I wince, dropping my head back onto the pillow. Carrie, are you awake? I turn my head towards her bed, but it's empty. Not just of her, but of her sheets, duvet and pillows, too. I turn back, close my eyes. I take a long, slow breath in through my nose, trying to calm my heart, which has started to thump hard in my chest. The usual smells of the room have gone, replaced by the sharp tang of bleach. Shit. I sit up fast and regret it immediately. My head spins and I feel myself lurching to the side. I have to hold on to the sides of the narrow single bed to stop myself from falling onto the hard-tiled floor. Carrie? I call her name again, hoping that the memories slotting into place inside my drink-addled brain are dreams. Nightmares, not something that really happened. Drinking that vodka was a mistake, but I was never going to be able to sleep otherwise. Slowly now, to prevent the spins, I climb out of bed and take in the room. The floors are sparkling clean, all my stuff is bundled onto the chair next to the wardrobe. I see a strappy pink vest top that I know is Carrie's and have a brief moment of hope, but it's a waste of energy. My shoulders slump and I sit back down on the bed, There's only one rucksack leaning against the wall now, one pair of boots next to it. Carrie is gone. I'd like to just stay in bed now. Forget about it all. It's not long until I can get the train out of here, keep going with the journey. I'll have to buy a new ticket, of course, but I don't think I have any other choice now. The clock under the TV says it's 12:43. The train to Moscow left at 9:37. Carrie is long gone. Off to Moscow alone after all we've been through. It was obvious last night that she felt nothing for me. I gave her my friendship, my love, but it was nothing to her. My head buzzes from the sleeping tablet that I washed down with the vodka only a few hours ago. I'd been too wired to sleep after what happened with Sergei. Most of the memory is intact, but there are parts that are blurred at the edges. I should feel more, I know this, but I suspect the drugs are taking that from me too, and I'd prefer if it stayed that way, for now, at least. I need to deal with the practicalities before I deal with the emotions. A quick glance around, and it's clear that he's made a decent job of cleaning the room, but I suppose it's his job. Or one of them, at least. He'll be on his way to Moscow now too, I assume. 6-hour flight, he told me. Incredible that this country is so vast. And I am here, alone. Calling Ivan last night was an impulse decision, a risk. When he'd handed me his card in the taxi and told me to contact him for anything I needed, I'd assumed he meant sex. But as it turns out, he's much more versatile with his services. He was more than happy with my role of emergency dollars, too. I wander out onto the balcony and peer down at the alleyway behind. There's a large, dark stain directly beneath me, but it looks like it could be anything. Water from a leaking drain, oil from a clapped-out engine. So far, no one seems to have noticed it. Why would they? I head back inside, leaving the balcony doors open to air the room. I imagine the cleaners will be surprised at how spotless the place is. Perhaps I should tell them not to come in. I planned to check out today, but I'm going to have to stay for another night at least. I hope Carrie settled the bill. I throw on cut-offs and Carrie's vest, pick up my shoulder bag with the guidebook inside, and head down to reception. The receptionist, as usual, is plugged into headphones glued to the TV. I have to bang my hand on the desk to get her attention, and she jumps slightly, then just looks pissed off. Yes. It's not even a question. Did the other girl check out already? Your friend, yes, very early, walked out fast, didn't pay. She didn't pay when we checked in? The receptionist shakes her head. Didn't pay. You pay, okay? I need to draw out some cash. She makes a pfft sound through her teeth and sits back down. Headphones are in, face turned back to the screen. She doesn't want to know, or she is used to pretending not to care. Damn it. Looks like I'm going to have to start paying my own way again. I pull out my purse and riffle through the contents. A few notes left. I've no real idea what I've done with the money I withdrew yesterday. I think I might have given Ivan some of that cash too. I'm starving and my head is fuzzy, and I think the only thing I can do right now is get myself something to eat and drink, then think about what I'm going to do next. The market is quieter than yesterday, and I'm glad. I don't really want to start drinking beers with strangers at this point. I head through to the stalls I'd passed yesterday selling meats and cheeses and find one further into the maze where people are sitting outside drinking coffee and eating from plates filled with salami and boiled eggs and hard rolls. A young woman with a ponytail so severe that her eyes seem to be stretched wide is tapping on her phone, sipping her coffee. I gesture to her table and try to tell the stout, motherly woman behind the counter that I'd like the same. I sit down at the table opposite the ponytailed woman, and she glances up briefly, then frowns and looks back down at her phone. I'm not really bothered. I'm not looking for a new friend today. I'm still in shock. After last night, and the way things ended with Carrie, I still can't believe that she's actually gone. I'm still trying to keep the events of last night at the back of my mind, because if I let them affect me now, I know I won't be able to cope. There's definitely still alcohol in my system mixed with the remnants of the sleeping pill. It's clouding my mood. I roll up a piece of salami and pop it into my mouth. Then I stir milk and sugar into my coffee and take a sip. My mother always said I was cold. But I like to think that I'm just good at compartmentalizing. I had to be. Besides, if anyone was cold, it was her. I'm not sure she was given the show your emotions gene. I think it skipped a generation because I have no such issues. I can control my emotions, sure. I suppose that's where the compartmentalizing comes in. I can put things into their separate boxes and only deal with what I need to. Right now, I need to deal with my plans for what happens after this. As long as I am out of the hotel room, I can keep the box with last night's nightmare safely locked away. I finish my food and coffee. The young woman still hasn't looked up from her phone, and her food remains mostly untouched. For a brief moment, I wonder what her story is. Why is she here alone? Why has she ordered food and not eaten it? Who she is texting with so frantically? Her expression fixed and stony, giving nothing away. I thank the woman at the counter and disappear back into the maze of the market. I spot the cash machine that I used yesterday, and realizing that I actually do need to start paying for everything myself now, I head towards it. The machine takes its time, whirring away, and then a message pops up on the screen. It's in Russian because I hadn't bothered to change the language at the start, confident that I would be able to work my way through it as I did before. But now I don't know what it's saying. Annoyed, I stab at the red button to cancel the transaction and start again. But then the whirring starts again and another message appears. Frowning, I wait for my card to appear in the slot, but it doesn't. I press the red button again, and now the screen changes back to the home screen. The logo of the bank and the images of the different types of cards accepted. Visa, MasterCard, American Express. Shit. I pull my backpack off my shoulders and grab my purse, pulling out another card. I shove it into the slot and silently pray that I know the PIN for this one. It's not my usual card, and I usually just tap it on contactless readers. I scour my brain, trying to visualize the 4 numbers. Incorrect PIN. I try another one, swapping round the 3rd and 4th, but no luck. I don't try again for fear of this card being swallowed up too. My mind starts to race, my limited options whirling round like a roulette wheel. I have several other cards, but I'm going to come up with the same issues unless I can remember the pins. But yes, thank God. I slide all the cards out of the little wallet and find the folded piece of paper at the back. I know it's stupid to have all the PIN codes in the same place as the cards, but I'm very careful with my stuff, and I've never been mugged yet. I have the list of PIN codes with a little symbol beside each one that only means something to me. Anyone who did try to work out which was for which card would lose the cards to the machine before they did. I run a finger down the crumpled piece of paper until I find the one I'm looking for. There's a tiny stick drawing of a crab, and I smile at my own ingenuity at this foolproof reference system. I take out another card and slide it into the machine, then I tap in the PIN. My heart does a little leap in the split second before it takes me to the next screen, and then I quickly type in the maximum withdrawal limit and hold my breath while the machine clicks and whirs and counts my cash. Part of me is surprised that this card is still working. I'd assumed it would have been cancelled long ago. I leave the market, not wanting to repeat yesterday's performance. I need new pickings today. There's a decent-looking bar on one of the streets off the square. I need something to take my mind off things. Something or someone. Preferably someone with no links to Sergei or Lev. A woman in a strappy floral dress is leaning against the wall outside the bar, smoking. She eyes me up and down, then turns away. Not her, then. I go inside. I won't stay long, I tell myself. There's nothing to worry about. Ivan has sorted everything for me. Carrie is gone, but I am safe. I can relax. It's just a couple of drinks to take the edge off. Messenger. To Laura, 04:59. Something's happened. I need to speak to you. Please pick up. One missed call, 0500. To Laura, 0502. Please pick up. To Carrie, 0632. Call me now. I'm here. Why are you using Messenger? You said you couldn't use Messenger because someone was bothering you on there? To Carrie, 0640. I'm here now. Don't leave me hanging. One missed call, 0642. One missed call, 0645. One missed call, 0705. One missed call, 0718. To Carrie, 0730. Carrie, please call me, or just message. Let me know you're okay. One missed call, 0756. One missed call, 0831. To Laura, 0901. Check your work email. Chapter 27. A blindingly bright light wakes me up. The harsh rays slicing through my eyeballs, and a piercing sharp laser beams directly into my skull. You're gone now. I work, okay? I blink, trying to stop a multitude of stars from flashing in front of my eyes, trying to focus on whoever is standing in front of the window silhouetted by the sun. It takes me a moment to realise that there is no balcony. I sit up too quickly and my head spins. The sheet that's covering me slips down, and I realise three things all at once. I'm naked, I'm not in the hotel, and I have no idea where I am. Fuck, I mutter. My voice is a rasp, my throat burns. Could I have some water, please? The figure walks towards me, bottle outstretched. The man is fully dressed, suit trousers and a crisp white shirt. He has a handsome face and neatly gelled dark hair. He's not like any of the Russian men I've met so far. I've no idea who he is. I take a greedy gulp of the water. It's cold and soothing as it flows down my throat. I pause, then take a couple of slow sips. I'm trying to buy time, trying to work out what I'm doing here and whether I can somehow get back to the hotel where I want to curl up in bed and forget that the last few days have happened. He picks up a jacket and slides his arm into it, and I notice them bulge against the unyielding fabric of his shirt. He glances around the room.
This place is shithole. I'll drive you home.
I sit up further, pulling the sheet up to hide my nakedness. Judging by the chafed feeling between my legs and my raw, stinging nipples, I'm pretty sure he's seen it all already. Unless there was someone else on this mattress with me. At the moment, I'm not willing to place any bets. He tosses a pile of clothes at me, and I hastily pull them on. Wafting the sheet releases the fetid stink of dried bodily fluids, and I have a sudden urge to vomit, but I manage to hold it back and finish getting dressed. He mutters various things in Russian as he walks through the flat, me trailing behind him like a lost puppy. He's right. The place is a shithole. Paint is peeling off the walls. The floors are mostly bare or partly covered with dirty, fraying rugs. There's a stale, musty smell throughout, a mixture of mould, spilled drinks and old smoke. I have to breathe through my mouth, taking small, shallow breaths until we reach the fresh air outside. "Whose flat is this?" I ask, at last, as if it has only just occurred to me. In truth, I've been racking my brains since I woke up. As for my suited saviour, I don't even know his name. He turns round and sneers.
You don't remember?
I say nothing.
We met in bar. You were with other men. I helped you. This place? He sighs. My brother owns this place. It's not a nice place, but you said no hotel.
What about your place? He holds up his left hand, and his gold ring sparkles in the sun. Fuck's sake, I mutter. I'm about to say more, but he's already in the car. I climb into the passenger seat, and I'm considering asking him more questions when his phone rings. He hesitates for a moment, then swears under his breath and picks up the phone. I look out of the window as he starts the car and pulls out of the gravel driveway, yammering away on his phone in rapid-fire Russian. I don't pick up any of the words, but the tone is clear from the tinny voice on the other end. Someone, the female, isn't happy. He ends the call, then throws the phone into the central console, accelerating onto the main road, swerving around other cars. They are all driving too fast, weaving in and out, and I feel a wave of nausea hit me again. I swallow back bile and cling on to the seat. Maybe it would do everyone a favour if I died right now. I consider grabbing the steering wheel and ploughing us into the path of a lorry. And the thought of it triggers a memory that I've tried hard to suppress. 6 months before, Pondicherry, India. Faded French colonial grandeur with hordes of people sleeping rough in the middle of the streets. So pretty, everyone told me. Fine if you don't go out alone. Don't go out at night. It had been fascinating watching how people travelled around there. Open-backed trucks stuffed full with men. Old British cars clapped out but still full of charm. Tuk-tuks. Motorcycles with Mum, Dad and Junior piled on top, only the driver wearing a helmet. I told Michael that I didn't want to go on the back of the ancient, whiny little scooter, so he'd forced me to drive it instead. I remember the dusty roads, lined with people walking barefoot, laden with packages and baggage, skinny cows and goats weaving in and out of the traffic, horns blaring in the blazing sun, and Michael gripping onto the seat, shouting in my ear, telling me to slow down, to be careful. I was careful, though. Michael. I wasn't the one who got caught coming out of someone else's room after an all-day, all-night party fueled by potent cocktails and too much coke. He thought I'd been asleep, but I'd woken in the night, mouth parched and head pounding, and I'd gone to the kitchen, hoping that the party-goers were long gone and I could down some water in peace. Ignoring the mess of the place, knowing we'd lose the deposit on the small apartment that we'd rented together for the month. It had been a blissful month. For me, at least. I didn't sense that Michael had grown bored of me. Or perhaps he hadn't. Perhaps he was just another man, lured away by the siren's call when his mind wasn't working at its full capacity. He didn't know I'd seen him sneaking out of the bedroom and into the living room. I'd gone through at midday after a few hours of fitful sleep, and I'd tried to act like everything was normal.
"Man, that was some night," he'd said. "I must have passed out."
Sure, he did. After spending a few hours with that whore, Melissa,
the bikini-clad Aussie with the 2 white teeth and the 2 even tan,
and a voice that cut right through me.
If I'd had the chance, it would have been Melissa who had the accident.
But she took off as soon as she woke up that day, and I never saw her again. I think about her sometimes. I hear her voice, or I see a flash of expensively highlighted hair, and I think it's her, but it isn't. I saw someone I thought was her when we were on the motorbike that day. My head snapped around watching her disappear into the crowd, and I lost control. Just for a moment. But then I righted myself, and it was all going to be okay. Until Michael shouted into my ear, "Watch what you're doing, you stupid fucking bitch!" I'd felt the surge of blood in my veins. My heart beating too fast. My brain fizzing with the onslaught of the adrenaline coursing through me. It was a risk, but I didn't stop to think. I turned, hard, gripping tight, as the back of the bike lifted off the ground and swung out fast. Michael wasn't expecting it. He'd just got over the previous skid. The bike flipped, with me still attached, and Michael not. I landed hard, the engine still running, the wheels whining, and I felt the shift in weight as he lost his grip and flew into the air, landing with a hard crack on the rocks that lined the side of the road. I let go of the handlebars and the bike pinwheeled away from me. People came running, shouting from all directions. But I'd heard Michael's skull crack open like an egg. Remember, it's the driver who wears the helmet. A terrible accident. I was treated in the hospital for shock, but by the time his parents came to collect the body, I was long gone. Luckily, for me, they didn't even know he had a girlfriend. Luckily for me, I was able to blend in, slip away. And before long, I'd met someone else. The phone on the centre console rings again, and I snap back to the present. The car is weaving in and out of traffic, and he ignores it. I still can't remember his name, but I see his ID badge partially obscured by the ringing phone. He works at a bank. I turn away, facing out of the window, remembering now. The pub, the rough men, my saviour. I joked that I needed a loan. He joked that he would look after me. Finally, I start to recognise the streets. You can just drop me here. I can walk the rest of the way. He doesn't argue, just slams the car to a halt a metre from the side of the road. I climb out, and I'm closing the door when he leans over and says, "Be careful." His voice is kind, and I think he means it. Then he yanks the door shut and drives off at speed, cars tooting horns behind him as he swerves into their path. I walk to the far side of the pavement, away from the road, and I sit down for a minute on a low wall. My head is a mess, but I need to get myself together. I picture Carrie and wish she was still with me. Too much has happened now for me to sort things out on my own, but she's gone, and it's all my fault. I walk back to the hotel, keeping my head down, avoiding the gaze of people on their way to work, school, doing normal things. I feel like a mess, so I must surely look like one. As I pass the receptionist, she makes an uncharacteristic move. "Hey, lady," she says, "you still need to pay." I can't deal with this right now. I know, I'll sort it later, I promise. "You pay by 6 or manager will come," she says. Then she disappears back behind the counter and the volume of the TV goes up again. Somewhere nearby there's the sound of furniture being dragged across the floor. A vacuum cleaner starts up. I hurry up to the room and see that the "Do Not Disturb" sign is still hanging on the door. Good. I hurry inside, locking the door behind me. The room still smells strongly of bleach, and I yank open the balcony doors to try and air it. As I do, the room seems to tilt around me, and the scenes from the night before flash in front of my eyes. The blood, the balcony, Carrie screaming at me to stop. I slide down onto the floor, hugging my knees to my chest, staring across at the one remaining rucksack. You wouldn't even know Carrie had been here at all. I stare at the rucksack with the contents spilling out of the top, the side pockets bulging with God knows what. And then I see it. A glimpse of silver poking out from the flat bottom pocket. Something that shouldn't be there. Something that's been left behind in a rush of panic. Something that gives me a brilliant idea. To Laura Lee at gmail.com. From Carrie82@hotmail.com. Subject: changing the subject. Hi, Laura. Thought I'd start a new thread as my emails were getting a bit over the top. Hope I didn't worry you too much. All is well, and I am heading off on my own soon for some calm times, maybe a retreat for a while. Not sure how much I'll be online. Hope your arm is healing well. Love and hugs, Carrie. Kiss hug, kiss hug. To Carrie82@hotmail.com. From Laura Lee at gmail.com. Subject: changing the subject. WTF? Who are you and what have you done with Carrie? Seriously, you sound like a different person. Have the drugs permanently mangled your brain? And my leg is doing well, thank you. Seriously, I can't imagine you at any sort of retreat, but it sounds like you might need one. L. Kiss. Irkutsk to Moscow. Chapter 28. I barely sleep, tossing and turning most of the night. I can't stop thinking about Carrie, about everything that happened that night. That pig, Sergei, hurting her. Well, he can't hurt her anymore, that's for sure. And thanks to good old Ivan, not so terrible, he is long gone. Carrie is too, and I need to get her out of my head. My phone is charging beside the bed, and I pick it up and go straight to Facebook. I was shocked when I realised that Carrie hadn't been updating her page throughout the trip, but then when I thought about it, she hadn't really been taking any photos either. It was as if she didn't want people to know what she was up to. In fact, she barely seems to use Facebook at all. Most of her posts are friends only, so it's just as well that she accepted my request that first night in Beijing. Thinking about it, she did say that she didn't really use it much. I suppose it's not that unusual, it's just that I always enjoy keeping up with people on there. Not that I comment, or even like things. I suppose I could be called a lurker, but I'd say it's more that I prefer to live vicariously. Or perhaps I am just a bit of a voyeur. Carrie's last post is from more than a month ago, a photo she's been tagged in, a bunch of people in a pub holding glasses aloft. Carrie is almost out of shot, not looking at the camera. She's not someone who likes to be photographed, I think. Definitely not a selfie taker. It's a shame, as I'd love to look at more photos of her, but either I don't have the level of access I need to see them, or there just aren't any there. I don't know why I expected any updates. I've seen this photo before, and I know that she hasn't added anything since, but I'm still disappointed. I type in Sam's name and go to look at his page instead. As usual, there are several new posts since I last looked. I'm getting a little bored with all the party pics and the mad-for-it status updates, not to mention the myriad of hangers-on and the Botoxed females. Sometimes I look at these pictures and think how lucky I was to get a piece of him at all, even for a short while. I am definitely not like any of his other lovers. I suppose that's why it was never going to last. Enough now. I give myself a mental shake and climb out of bed. I know I should have a shower while I have the chance. I don't even know where I'm going to be sleeping after I leave here. But I can't be arsed. Most of my things are already packed, so I quickly throw on yesterday's clothes and toss everything else into the rucksack. I do a final sweep of the room, making sure nothing's been left behind, under the beds or in a drawer or some other stupid place that will end up incriminating me. Then I grab one of the towels from the bathroom and begin the process of wiping everything down. The blood might be gone, and I have Ivan to thank for a good job there, but I can't actually remember him doing it. I assume I had passed out by then. I can't trust him to have wiped down everything else that I might have touched, and besides, I've been in there another night. I bundle up the sheets and pull off the pillowcases and roll them all into a big ball. Then I hitch my rucksack onto my back and have one final glance around. I catch sight of myself in the mirror, and I'm not surprised to see that I look like complete shit. My eyes are bloodshot, red-rimmed and decorated with dark circles beneath. My hair is greasy and matted. I don't even know when I last washed it. My skin is a disturbing shade of grey. I look away from the mirror, not wanting to dwell on it anymore. I shove a hand into my shorts, making sure I still have the cash, and then I pick up the bundle of sheets and towels and slip out of the room. The maid's trolley is at the end of the corridor, but she is nowhere to be seen. I toss my laundry into the cart, then jumble it around a bit with other stuff in there. No one will know which room it came from. It will all get thrown into the washer together, and if there does come a time when the events that occurred in my room are investigated for some reason, I'll be long gone. I take the stairs instead of the lift, knowing that there's no way the receptionist or the manager will be walking up them to try and corner me before I do a runner. I have the cash to pay now, but that makes it even more invigorating as I open the fire escape and head outside. I let Ivan in this way the other night, so I already know that the door isn't alarmed. I hurry down the alleyway, not looking back. I pause for a moment as I pass the dark stain on the ground, closing my eyes briefly, remembering what happened to Sergei. Then I blink it away and carry on. I need to get away from here. The good thing is there's no record of me being here at all. Another one of the benefits of sharing Carrie's accommodation. No one is looking for me, because they don't even know that I exist. It's strange, being on the train without Carrie. Even stranger not having a cabin or a ticket. But as long as I keep moving, I'm pretty sure I can get away with it. I just need to be careful at the station stops, make sure I avoid the guards. I walk up and down through the carriages until I find a luggage rack with some space at the end of the standard class dining car. Perfect. I push my rucksack as far back as it will go, then cover it with a bright red wheelie suitcase. It reminds me of some of the luggage on the first train, where Carrie was chatting to the tour group. That couple she befriended. Steve something. Street? Yes, Steve and Marion Street. The couple she planned for us to meet up with in Moscow. Well, that's not going to be happening now. It was all so effortless for Carrie. The way she slid into the seat beside them, started charming them, making them laugh. I wasn't interested then, but I might have to dig deep if I want to make it to Moscow without attracting any attention from the guards. I'm sliding the red suitcase back into position when I realise that neither the main compartment nor any of the pockets on the front or back are locked. I smile to myself. Rookie mistake. Everyone knows you're supposed to lock up all your zips when you leave your luggage on an unattended rack on a train, especially in a strange country. Didn't these people read the guidebook? I think about the long cable padlock that Carrie had, and I wish I'd bought one for myself. I didn't before, but I have something in my bag that's worth stealing now. Glancing up and down the carriage to make sure that no one is going to come over and disturb me, I carefully unzip the pockets of the red suitcase one by one. Nothing much of interest in the front, but in the back one, I strike gold. A cardboard wallet, the kind you get in the travel agents when they hand over the currency you ordered. I open it, fully expecting it to be empty or maybe with just a receipt inside, but no. There are several fresh, crisp notes. Someone has been very irresponsible leaving them in this case like this, but I'm not going to hang around and wait for them to realise their mistake. I slide the notes out of the wallet, then put the wallet back inside. Then I pull my rucksack towards me again and open the top. I fiddle around inside until I find the zip for the secret pocket, and then I slide the notes in, zip it up, and close the flap again. I push my rucksack back to the corner of the rack, leaving the red suitcase back in its original position. If they do come back, wondering where their money is, they'd never think to look in the bag next to it.
I imagine a husband and wife arguing about which one of them was stupid enough to leave the wallet in the bag and which one of them didn't bother to put on the padlocks. Neither of them will ever know that their money is less than 30 centimetres away, but lost to them forever. I'm humming a little tune to myself as I saunter off down the carriage and into the dining car. I realise now that Carrie was holding me back. My feelings for her clouded my judgment, dulled my senses. She made me weak, helpless, humbled by her sexy charms. Well, not anymore, because the real Violet is back. The dining car is already nearly full, people chattering over maps and guidebooks, teas and beers. I stop at a table where two women in their 60s are pouring small bottles of tonic into tall glasses filled with ice and lemon. They look up when they see me standing there, and I give them my best, most vulnerable smile. "Do you mind if I join you? Ladies, I don't want to impose. It's just, well, I'm travelling alone and I was mugged last night." I pause to push out a tear, and I rub at my face, pressing my fists into my eyes. Then I look back down at them, and they are looking up at me sympathetically, thinking, this could be my daughter. This is someone's daughter. "Oh, you poor thing," the one on the left says eventually. "Please sit down with us. What happened? Do you have any money at all?" She slides her drink towards me. "Here, have this. I think you could use it more than me. I'll get another." She turns, gesturing to the barman, and the other one lays a hand on top of mine, and I close my eyes, remembering soft hands, soft lips. "What's your name, dear?" the other one says. I sniff, stifle a sob. "Thank you both, you're so kind. I'm Carrie. My name is Carrie." Moscow, Chapter 29. The journey wasn't so bad in the end. The 3.5 days flew by. After the charming hospitality of the gin and tonic ladies of the standard class carriage, and their insistent on pushing $100 each on me to get me through, I'd almost felt a little guilty when I saw them lifting that red wheelie case off the train, waving at me as I calmly walked away from them along the platform. They had no idea what they'd given me, and neither did I until I opened it, sitting on a bench outside the railway station. 50,000 rubles. That will certainly get me through. Thank you very much, ladies. It's their own fault for being so stupid. I'd spent that first night in the dining car playing cards and drinking with the other night owls, then moved elsewhere in the morning. It was just as easy to find new companions for the other 2 days. Befriending the French students and finding out about the spare room in their 4-berth had been another stroke of luck. I got off the train with a spring in my step, the events of Irkutsk and all that went before erased from my mind. For a while, at least. I asked the taxi driver, another ubiquitous track-suited, chain-smoking oaf, to take me to the best hotel he knew. Quite the opposite to the arrival in Irkutsk, when Carrie had insisted on being taken to the dump that she'd pre-booked, which was a blessing in the end. It's much easier to get away with things in places like that, where the staff don't really give two fucks about what their clients are up to. That's not what I'm after now, though. What I'd like now is a little luxury for a while. A decent base for a few days while I work out what to do next. I barely noticed the car speeding down the wide boulevards, swinging hard around the corners. I'm already thinking about a long soak in a
scalding, scented bath, taking some time to cleanse my soul. I think it's about time. I laugh a little, remembering something that Carrie said, her fearful flashback to the nomadic festival and what the shaman said about me. I'd brushed it off as nonsense, but what he'd said was true. I am not a nice person. There is something fundamentally wrong with me. My parents tried to fix me when I was young. They could tell early on that I wasn't following a normal developmental path. But when the counsellors failed, my mother gave up on me. I tried to change then, realising my mistake, realising I was invisible to her and that I'd taken things too far, but I found out it's not that easy to change. And maybe it's right to say I was born, not made. We pull up outside a glittering facade, but when I climb out of the car, I see that the gold is flaking in parts and the stairs are scuffed, and the doorman, when he arrives, is wearing a suit that is shiny at the knees and elbows, frayed at the cuffs. Perhaps this is not the right place after all.
2,000 rubles,
says the bored-looking driver. I hand over the money, even though I know it's too much, and head up the steps. Inside, the lobby is as I expected. It was once opulent, but now it is faded and tired. But at least the receptionist is a little livelier than the one in the last place. Privet, I greet him, my accent as perfect as I can make it. Do you have a room, please? He smiles at my Anglo-Russian attempts and taps on his keyboard.
We only have the Lenin suite available, I'm afraid. It is very expensive.
He cocks his head to the side in a slightly pitying, slightly patronising manner. I get it now. I'd forgotten about the state that I'm in, my filthy hair and clothes and the battered rucksack. Then I remember an article I read about Anna Delvey, the fake, possibly Eastern European socialite who managed to trick the best hotels in New York into letting her stay for as long as she wanted, charging everything to her room, telling them she was waiting for a business deal to go through. Fake it until you make it, that's what they say, isn't it? I pull the wad of rubles out of my pocket and lay them flat on the counter, locking his gaze as I say, Idealno. Perfect. That would be just fine. I pause, then I cock my head too, mirroring him, and say in a low voice, in English this time, This will more than cover my stay. And don't try to rip me off, you little weasel. My father is a British diplomat and he will have you out of this job and in the gutter faster than you can say Tragni svoyu babushka. I take a step closer, pushing the money forwards as I do, and his hand appears from behind the counter to grab the notes like one of those grabber machines with the crappy toys at the fair. He's not too concerned with the threat against his grandmother I've made. He blinks. Once, and the smile slips just for a moment, and then he says,
We're delighted to have you here with us, Miss
Osborne, I say. Carrie Osborne. I'm afraid I'm waiting for new documents to arrive, but I have this. I slide Carrie's driving licence across the counter. Another useful nugget that was left behind amid her rapid departure. He pushes it back and gives me a small nod. Then he hands over a brass key on a huge metal fob.
Your suite is on the 12th floor, Miss Osborne. Please let us know if we can do anything else to assist.
Chapter 30. Although the hotel isn't quite as flash as I'd hoped, it is a good room. Far too big for just me, but it's nice to be somewhere like this for a change. The bed is huge, wider than a king, and with crisp white linens that contradict the bling of the rest of the place. I like it. The bathroom doesn't disappoint either. I fill the huge, deep bath almost to the brim, adding all the fancy-looking toiletries that they've placed beside the green marble sink. I hesitate for a moment, wondering if I can call housekeeping and get them to bring me some hair dye. But I decide to hold off and get it done properly somewhere. My hair feels like matted rope. But when I slide down into the floral-scented waters, it soon fans around me and begins to soften. I lather on shampoo, and then the whole little bottle of conditioner, and leave it to soak in while I shave my legs and armpits and give myself a proper scrub with the helpfully supplied loofah. You don't get real loofahs at home anymore. Something to do with the environment, I expect. Not that I give two shits about that. Finally, I run my fingers through my hair, detangling it, then rinsing it in the dirty bathwater, which has formed a distinct brown scum around the edges. The water is murky and opaque, as if all the grime and gunk that I have been carrying around with me unnoticed has finally leached from my skin. Wrapping myself in a fluffy white towel, I inspect my face in the mirror and conclude that I look a lot better than I did yesterday. I have colour in my cheeks now, and instead of dark rings and blood, my eyes look as bright and shiny as a pair of new buttons. I think I have the ladies on the train to thank for helping to sort out my demeanour. Perhaps taking Carrie's identity is what's perked me up. At the back of my skull, a small bead of worry is undulating under the skin, but it soon works its way back inside. The old Carrie is gone. The new one is right here. I choose the cleanest, neatest clothes from my mediocre selection, but they are worn and crumpled, and even Carrie's strappy vest top doesn't make the grade. But it'll do for now until I get something new. I pick up my small bag and make sure I have all my cash. Then I head out for some entertainment.
End of CD 6.